I almost nailed that intro. Hi, I'm Nick Seevers. I am part of the Racing Dudes After Dark, and today we are going to be covering the Del Mar Early Pick 5 for opening day. I am going to be joined by all sorts of people, but as it turns out, nobody else can get off work at 1:45 in the afternoon to just go and hang out and talk horse racing with us. So we're going to have a smorgasbord of people. I'm going to start with my pick 5 because I'm here and I get to do it, and I have other people's pick 5s as well. So we will get them in here as well. And even better, look how early he is. Josh from On the Wrong Lead shows up when he says he's not even going to be here till 2:00, and he shows up early. I don't think he's ever showed up early to his own stream, let alone.
I was going to say the same thing. I'm normally super late, but yeah, I was. It was really funny. It was getting a little dicey there for a second because, we were talking yesterday, and I was like, I'll see if I can make it right on time. And like, sure enough, maybe about 20 minutes ago, I get like pinged like 3 different times from different people, and I'm like, oh, this is it. Like, I'm gonna end up having to be late, but got everything taken care of. Everything works out, and get a look at some Del Mar, which was gonna be a blast. So
all you can ask for. So we are gonna do a quick look at the early pick 5. Did you look at the early pick 5, or are you just going to handicap it?
I did. I actually have a ticket in already.
Look at you.
Let me pull up my ADW here so I can let you know. I will say in the first race, I had a hard time getting around what looks to be the 2-1 favorite right now. The 8 next revolt here for George Prodromo and Diego Herrera. I think this horse probably just gets out there on the lead, gets a little loose. It was 3-1 on the morning line. Obviously been bet down a little bit here, but I'm going to go ahead and I'm just going to single the 8 here in this first leg.
Wow. So I actually left the 8 off my ticket entirely, and I think I left every favorite off of every part of my legs here. I'll double check as we go through here, though. I started with the 1 Tone Feeling coming in out of a Ship and Win, and I can't find my PPs, but Gulfstream, I believe, is where he's coming from. And I took this angle all last year. I don't think I ever once got it right when I picked one. There's like, oh, they're coming here to get money. They're coming here for the Ship and Win. I don't think they ever won. But, I'm going to pretend like that's actually a thing that happened, and that's where I landed. So he actually ran at Santa Anita, but you get 1 freebie in town, and then it goes to Ship and Win, still at Del Mar. So he's still eligible for it. Coming out of a optional claimer, going a mile at Santa Anita on June 18th. Looked terrible, but kind of seems like it was a little bit of a prep. Didn't ship well. I'm gonna blow that as that's the reason why. And then I also am on the 6 Good Juju, partly because of the name, because how could you not love Good Juju as a name? And then the same thing coming in on the Ship and Win, but claimed by Mark Glatt and shipped by Mark Glatt. So I just thought, like, well, it's a claim for 32, putting in for 16 on the first race at Del Mar seems like a spot he's willing to lose this horse and to get the win. So probably enough there to make that work for him. And then I also used the 10 Sete Cento. I'm a good speaker. Good thing somebody gave me a YouTube show to start talking about out loud. But back to the dirt after getting claimed. Doug O'Neill ran him on the turf, and now back to the dirt. Dropped slightly in class, down from 20 to 16. So one of those, like, it kind of sort of fits. I'm not at all against the 8, other than I can't make a ticket that's $8,000, unlike our friend Dr. Tang, who I'll show his ticket here in a minute. That was 120. That was a little rich for my blood, because I don't think I have a chance of hitting this one, if I'm being completely honest. So 1, 6, and 10 to start for me, and you're just singling the 8.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, I ended up with a $12 ticket here for 50 cents. So I have another single later in the sequence, but yeah, this was one of those spots where I kind of felt like if I looked past the 8, I'm looking at maybe 2, 3, 4 other horses, and I think you make that decision, right? Like, all right, hey, you either like the favorite or you don't. In this case, I like the favorite, so I'm just going to single him.
Yeah, and I think I do that later on. So, though I don't think it's a favorite, because I just throw them all out because I hate money, and I just like giving it away to the ADWs and making sure everybody else's pick 5 gets a little bit richer by me entering into it. So I got that going.
Well, if you've watched any of our streams, Caleb is just an absolute pro at hitting all the hard legs and having multiple long prices, and then just being against some 3 to 5 Chad Brown horse that just booms him out of like a $4,000 pick five. So
I may have seen that once or twice. Race two, it is. Moved it around. Three in order. Maidens going 6.5. Did you have anything here, or any strong opinions here? I guess I should say.
I had a couple here. I used 2 horses in this spot. Um, I used the 5 Uncle Reg. He's 3-1 in the morning line. Tiago Pereira had just probably one of the best sand and meets I've seen from a guy that's not named Pratt or Rispoli or Hernandez. So he's really kind of cemented himself as maybe the second or third best jock in the colony. Gets up here for Mike McCarthy. And I thought that this horse, showed a lot last time. Finished second, was kind of blown out in that spot. But I don't know. I didn't really look too closely at any of the firsters in here. I thought of the ones that kind of had a run. He seemed to kind of fit the most in this spot. Um, you know, I, there's a chance that he might grab the lead. I think the one's got some speed early, and maybe the four's got a little bit there. So I don't know. Maybe there's a chance this 5 just kind of gets out there and does his thing. But the other horse I did like, and maybe this is just I don't know. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but the 3 horse Bye Bye Ray here, shipping in for Todd Fincher. Todd Fincher's has had a couple of nice horses in the past. He'll run a couple at Del Mar, Santa Anita. I know he runs a lot in like New Mexico and other places, but this horse, second time out, I mean, on Brisnet at least, that figure is enormous.
Yep.
And kind of regressed last time out. Looked to be super wide there at Oak Lawn, and also stretched out to a mile. So I'm kind of thinking that this one doesn't want to go the mile. Cutting back the 6.5 furlongs back to a similar distance that he ran at Oak Lawn. And you get Mike Smith aboard, who very much does not ride a ton, and he's just one. If you see him get aboard, I mean, you got to take a look at it at least, because I mean he only rides maybe 2 or 3 a day if he's riding at all. So I took a look at it because I saw Mike Smith getting aboard. Obviously, that race 2 back at Oak Lawn looked great, and I think the cutback, going back to that cutback, that sprint distance, I think is going to help this horse a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna use the 3 and the 5 here.
Isn't Mike Smith going to Monmouth tomorrow too? I thought he was riding for Baffert in the Haskell, but I could be making that up. So either way, I'm also on the 3 for almost the exact same reason. The only thing I have to add is ship and win. I also have the 6, Dr. Vingman, first time starter, but was supposed to run at Del Mar in November, and now is coming back and hasn't raced since. So it's like this, they just want to put this one at Del Mar. So it was kind of those like, that's a weird thing to do. Been running enough that like they could have definitely ran this one at Santa Anita if they wanted to. So I'm on the 3 and the 1, on the 6, and then the other one I liked was the 1. Bet down to 5-1 in a race with 3 different Baffords, and 1 Baffert was 4-5. So at that point, it seemed to me like it was at least partially live. Inside, maybe able to get the lead, maybe able to be the first one, and maybe going 6.5 may just be enough that he just goes around in a circle and wins. So I'm on the 1-3-6 here. And we will move to race 3. It goes off in about 5 minutes, so we're going to be somewhat quick to end this, and then we'll come back and kind of talk these over as we're going. So in race 3, who did you like?
Oh my goodness! I am in tab hell right now, and just have way too many tabs open.
I'm on Oak Street Beach, and this is actually my one single. I thought that this one had every chance going back to turf. Coming out of that Gulfstream race where it ran second, ran 5 furlongs, then went 7 on the dirt, and now shipping out to California with Proctor. Proctor has not been at Del Mar since 2018, and so it's one of those like that's a weird spot for them to decide to go. So he brought a string of them out. So I'm kind of liking the idea of this one being pointed almost for a race like this. So I'm just going to single the 1. Oak Street Beach.
Nice. I don't have the one here, but I like what you're doing there. You know, taking a shot with a mid price, right? We're not you're not singling the 20 to one here, but I always feel like if you can ever single a 4 to 1, 5 to 1, 6 to 1 horse in a sequence that can kind of be your separator there a little bit. I'd like the horse just to his outside, the two
Yep.
Sakura Flavor here. Once again, gets Mike Smith aboard. And I don't know what's happened in recent times, but it seems like Mike Smith has maybe learned how to ride on the turf at his advanced age. And maybe it's not so much. I I don't mind him on these horses that really they got one way to go, right?
Yep.
And this horse is going to come from off the pace. He's not going to be forwardly placed. So I think that the two could kind of maybe sit off and make that kind of one run, and it's 4 to 1. Seems to be seems to be pretty decent price. Obviously, I like the 5 here as well. Northeast Star, is the 5 to 2 favorite in this race. Phil D'Amato, Umberto Rispoli had a nice run last time out. Was off a little bit slow. Kind of looked a little green. I think he was kind of drifting a little bit. So if they're able to straighten this one out, and they are stretching this one out a little bit too. And I think this is one that's going to kind of like the additional ground. If they're able to straighten this one out, this one could just be much the best.
Yep.
But a price I did like was the 12, strikingly here. For Marcelo Polanco and Abel Cedillo aboard. Abel, not necessarily, once again, similar to Mike Smith, known for riding on the turf, but Hector Barrios rode this one a couple times, nearly winning 3 back, going 6.5 at Santa Anita. Seems like 6.5 to a mile. I mean, his 2 best races seem to be kind of going with a little bit extra distance here. So I'm interested to see what this one does stretching out. If you are a optics person, this one kind of sits as almost looks like he might be lone speed. Obviously, there's a lot of horses that haven't gone this far,
Yep.
so it remains to be seen. It might not be a correct plot, but even with the surface of distance plot, looks to kind of be a presser type right there in the first the kind of Q1, and might just get first run on everybody. So
Yep.
I like the 2, the 5, and the 12 here.
And I'm on the 136. Dr. Tang's in the 4, 5, 6, 7, and he'll be in here in a little bit. He just, apparently has to cure cancer or something, and so he can't come on here and BS with you and I talking real horses on a Friday afternoon. So apparently somebody's got a real job around here. At least it's him. He's better than I am at most things, I would imagine. So we do have a minute or two. We can't show any horses at all. We can show a picture of a horse, but it can't be moving. Otherwise, Equibase is going to throw them off of YouTube again. So I don't know. It's quite the fun adventure they've been going through with Equibase. So we'll move on to race 4. I am on all over the place here. I'm on the 2, 6, 9, and 10. 2 being my top choice, mainly because it's coming back in for a tag after running protected the last couple of times. And so it feels like one of those, like they're shooting for Del Mar, want to win at Del Mar. And our friend Emily Gullickson's top pick. So I said, if Emily likes it, I like it. She's smarter than I am at just about everything. So we'll just follow her. So I'm on the 2, 6, 9, 10. Who did you like in the 4th?
I am with Miss Gullickson. I singled the 2 here, Santos to Wilson. Horse has been working like a freight train coming in. Could just get absolute loose out there. Gets Hector Barrios aboard, who I think is just a phenomenal rider. So I'm just singling the 2 here and moving on.
Fair enough. And then they are going up to the gates. So we will finish up with race 5 real quick. I am on the 2, the 3, and the 8. This is a 2-year-old California maiden. So you can pick any horse you want, and you are just as right as anybody else. But I hate this race. I hate everything about this race. And it starts the Rainbow Pick 6. So good, you don't have to be a part of that one.
Yep, 2, 6, 8, 10 for me. The only first time starter I really liked in there was the 2. I thought the 6, 8, the 6, 8, and 10 showed a little bit their first time out, so just going to run them back.
Yep. I actually didn't use this. I used the 2, 3, and 8 because I didn't like that the 6 was at Pleasanton, and then took money and then couldn't run at Pleasanton, ran fourth at 5-2. So little too much for me. I figured, yeah, I'll throw that one out, mainly because I hate playing favorites and I hate winning tickets. So, I'll throw out the winner.
There you
Makes
go.
sense to me. So we will go back to race one real quick because they are loading into the gate. And we'll kind of, from here on out, now we just kind of talk about the races, and I'll put my ticket back up because we'll give one last shot of it. That way I can show Dr. Tang when he's actually right. I do think the one has that inside speed and may just go. You are on the 8 next revolt, and you have the exact same idea, and your horse just may be better than mine. But, they're $16,000 claimers, so there's not really a whole lot that, anything. This early pick 5 is so ridiculously complex because it's just like, oh, here's a 16K claimer. Here's a 2-year-old maiden race. Here's a allowance optional. Oh, wait, but everybody fits the conditions. So everybody's in for a tag. All right. This makes it impossible. And 10 horses in every field because, that's how Del Mar goes. And they are off.
And everyone goes to the lead.
Yep.
So, that's all right. My 8's sitting in an okay spot. He's sitting kind of in third there with some cover. So
it is quite sad that we can't show anything. It's one of those things like everybody watches it themselves, and so it's not the end of the world, and it always shows up choppy when you watch it on YouTube. But it is just a little bit annoying that like Equibase is like, yeah, give us $1,000 a month to show any videos whatsoever. And I don't know what the price actually is, but I'm sure it's more than that because they asked $200 for their data. So it's going to be a rant against Equibase while we're watching a race. That's this is what they brought me in here for, is just to be nonsensical, I'm sure. So they're going to the far turn, and your 8's starting to make that move. So looks like my 1's actually holding on decently. Yeah, there he goes. Oh, that was enough for him. Oh, wait, no, that was a 9. So I get for trying to watch it on my phone.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if one of these outside horses just kind of roll up and get there. Yeah. Looks like it might be an early pick 4 for me here.
Come on, 10. Come on, 10.
Oh, your 10 looks good.
10's going to pull it off. My first ever winner on this show.
There you go.
It's 7-1. Look at me.
There you go. Yeah, I thought the 7 was going to blow him by, and then he kind of ranged up against the 10 and just decided he was going to throw in the towel as well. So, nice. It's a good start. It's a good start to the pick 5.
So that's sort of how this is going to go, is the way, like, last year I was reading Del Mar's article about Del Mar, so I know that it's true, but they averaged 9 point some odd horses per race last year. And it's, they do only race 4 days, unlike Saratoga's 5, but they also have the ship and win. I'm going to say it. I don't know. Every time I say it, everybody take a drink. How about that? That'll be the game. Nick says ship and win. You say drink. Also, I've been talking for way too long, so I'm just going to say it just so I have to drink myself. But these races are just so complex, and they're not necessarily good horses as much as they are competitive races, which I think as gamblers, that's all we want, right? It's like, I want to be able to find a 7-1 and be like, this one makes a little bit of sense. Why don't we go with that one? And then, be wrong 9 times out of 10, but now I've paid for my day. So all I can ask for.
Yeah, no, it's, Caleb and I were talking about this off air when we're probably playing a video game or something. And, Saratoga's racing generally is always is kind of like the class, right? Like it's the quality wise, it's usually the best. But man, these first couple weeks at Del Mar, they get horses. Last year they were averaging 8 or 9 horses a race, and I think the wheels kind of fell off near the end of the meet with them losing some population. But those first couple weeks, man, if you have some strong opinions in there, like you can make some money because you got some really, really big fields. And like I said, that's kind of the way I was approaching this race. I like the 5-2, the 8, and yeah, like 5-2 is not a great price, but if you get out of a leg where there's 10 horses only using one, that can kind of be your separator. It doesn't have to be a humongous one, right? If I'm playing a $12 ticket, I'm not necessarily thinking I'm going to hit for, 7, 8, 9,000, right? I'm looking to hit for anywhere between 800 and 1,500 or something
Yep.
like that, right? A little bit more of a realistic number, um, but I mean, hey, you got that 7-1 to start, so maybe we are talking big numbers here, Nick. So
Well, that's one of the things that I tell people that I talk to about this is that I'm not going to hit a $20,000 pick five ever in my life. Like I just don't play tickets that are going to do that because I can't get to these 12, 20 to ones on the morning lines that knock out 98% of the field. So I always, when I play a pick five, it's, a $54 one trying to hit $600-700. So if I hit this one, it'll pay more than that, but I don't expect it to hit. So I'm definitely just going to be like, you know what? I got that one right. I've moved myself off of these horizontal bets and just playing win bets way more frequently. I looked at my numbers and it's just like, I hit 3 pick fives last year. I lost $2,200 playing pick fives because why wouldn't I? Because I hit them for almost nothing, right? Like when you hit a pick five, that should pay for your year. And I lost money playing pick five. So I'm 100% going for the, let's hit relatively decent sized ones, relatively low prices. And, if I hit this one, it pays for my whole Del Mar meet. How about that?
there you go. So let's workshop this a little bit, all right?
Yeah.
So you say that you don't think you'll ever hit a $20,000 pick five. Why is that? You think that you're just never gonna? Do you think that in order to get to the long prices, like you need to spread more, therefore you're not going to ever play that big of a ticket, or is it just the way that you kind of handicap that you kind of feel like your better option is to narrow in on shorter prices and be skinnier?
Both of those, right? So
Okay.
I won't play a $120 pick five ticket because I'm so unlikely to hit it that I don't have $120. I'm begging my wife as we're talking to give me $200, and she's saying $75, and then she went to 75.50. So even if I wanted to, it's like, well, I can't even do it. So one, I don't play tickets that big because I just don't have the bankroll for it, and two, when I handicap, the best way for me to do and what I normally am able to find the best are 4 to 7 to 1 shots. And so when you string together 5, 4, 5 to 1, 6 to 1, 8 to 1s, they don't normally pay that big, right? So they get, especially at a track like Del Mar and a track like Saratoga where everybody's playing it, everybody's going to have those horses. I just don't get those big of prices. So when I do get those prices, I've stopped hitting the all button. I've listened to too much other podcasts that say if you're hitting the all button, just play the half of the bigger numbers. So if you have 10 horses in the race, pick the 5 biggest morning lines and play those instead and hope to get through. Saves you a bunch of money. You fall out of these all the time. So I just don't have that gumption to say, you know what I need is to fire these pick fives over and over and over again, and one time hit them, and one time, they lost $50, lost $72, lost $96.
Yeah, because see, I guess the way I think about it, right, is last year I hit 2 tickets, a pick 5 at Belmont and a pick 6 at Keeneland. The Belmont was on a $24 ticket, and that one paid 12,000, was it? And it was it was a really really small ticket. I actually gotta try and figure out what it was, but and then I did have I played 12,000,
Yeah.
and I hit a pick 6 at Keeneland that was a carryover in the fall meet. I hit that twice. It paid 6,000, or it paid 7,000. I hit it twice, so it paid like 14. But in my thinking, like I was positive the year, not because of my like day-to-day playing, my win bets. Exactly. I was positive in the year because I had those 2 big hits, right?
Yep.
But like you said, you kind of have, if you're going to play that way. Well, I think that really when you play horses, right, it's bet a little, win a lot, right? That's the path to success. But you do need to kind of have to build up that gumption, right? That build up that tolerance, right? That you're gonna go like 2, 3, 4 months without hitting anything, and that does not feel good. You know how I know that? Because I'm currently in that right now. It does not feel good.
Yep.
I ended up. I think my savior the last couple of weeks has been playing the Cinnabon Downs. I hit like a cold pick 3 for like $5 or $10 or something, and
Yep.
paid 800. And like that's like, all right, cool. Now I have have a little bit to play with there.
Yep.
But it's been tough sledding for me. So I get that. I just do think that you have to have you do have to take your shots there there occasionally, because otherwise, grinding out $5 win bets, right? $5 win bets on a $50 budget, it's great for learning the game. It's great for entertainment. I don't begrudge anybody who's just like, hey, I'm just gonna put $20 in and I'm playing $2 win bets. Like, no, that's awesome, dude. Like, everyone's gonna enjoy it for different reasons, right? Same thing. Like, you go to Del Mar or you go to one of these fancy tracks, right? And you pay the $20 for the cocktail, right? like whatever, right? Different strokes for different folks, right? But I think if you do want to like really just like tighten it up and really like focus on making money, I mean, I do think you got to like, you do have to you have to hit those big ones. Otherwise, it's just going to be kind of it's going to be a struggle. I mean,
one of the things that I've really started to focus on is playing in tournaments, and not in the $1,000 Haskell one tomorrow, but the $300 one at Naira, where it's I get to do a win play show, exacta trifecta, and double, and all I'm trying to do there is get my next ticket. And I know that's the exact wrong way of playing, because when you're in a tournament, you're supposed to play to win. That's what they say all the time. And if you play not to win, you're never going to do anything. The number of times I've ran 4th or 5th and got my ticket for next week while doubling my money is like, yeah, it's fine. And look, it cost me $300. I got to bet $200. I walked away with $6 plus a ticket for next week. Perfect, right? So it's that $2 win bet type mentality that I've taken with it, minus the fact that I just don't have the bankroll to do anything else. And so this is maybe the best comment I've ever seen in my entire life. Yes, we bought them for the day. I'm going to sit in a 12-pack of beer, and that's going to be it. No, Dr. Tang is helping patients because he actually is a real doctor, and Nick Feldman is on a plane. So we're having all sorts of people come by and say hello, and one of my favorite YouTube shows is On the Wrong Lead, so I had to have them on. It was actually my third ask. Emily's actually doing one currently. It's like, yeah, I'd love to, except we're doing one right now. So I was like, fine.
Yeah.
I guess I'll ask Josh. He'll come on.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Yeah, no, it's funny, those $300 contests. So Hawthorne, they run cash contests. They run them like 2-3 times a year. They run them. They've been running them at the OTBs, right? But they used to run them at the actual tracks. At the actual track right now, it's still under construction. But depending on the time, it's either $300, $500 buy-in, no vig, right? No vig. So and they usually have four seats ish, right? 4 NHC seats. And we can, the NHC is a racket. It's a racket. It's also a lot of fun, but just because it's a lot of fun, much like Vegas is a lot of fun, Vegas is also a racket. And this is coming from somebody who still goes 4 times a year, right? I love Vegas. But I also understand, right? Like, if I'm sitting there, I'm sitting there, drinking cocktails, playing craps or whatever, like, there's a price, there's a and it's a very large one. But there's no vig, right? So at that point, right? Okay, even you win your quote unquote $10,000 seats, that really is worth $4,000. If you're not paying anything into it, it's fine. But anyways, like with those contests, with the Saratoga contest you're talking about, which is a $200 bankroll with a $100 buy-in, great. Like, I know for some people that's still a lot of money. I think for regular players, that's probably just right. That $300 to $500. But what's nice is, like I go into those with a target, right? And generally my target's 10x, right? So I'm trying to turn that 200. I'm trying to turn that 200 into 2,000. And yeah, unlike you, you're kind of saying how like, hey, your goal is just to win a ticket. I played in. They had a contest where they were offering a BC seat. This is probably a month ago, and first place was
closing day at Belmont. Yeah.
So first place was like I think basically essentially $12,000,
Yeah.
right? And then second place was 1,000.
Yep.
So yeah, I was playing for first the entire time.
Yeah.
At one point, I had like 800, like I turned my 200 into like 850 or something. I was like in third or fourth. And at the end of it, I ended up zeroing out.
Yep.
But yeah, if there was a split second where I had the same mentality as you, I was like, well, if I would have just stood pat, I would have finished, fourth or fifth or
Yeah.
something like that, and I would have gotten myself my seat and I think a couple
Right.
$100 or something. But
That tournament,
like
though, I think in that tournament especially, it's that when you're playing to win because the prize is so different, and that's what Hawthorne again. I've never been to Hawthorne. I've never been to Chicago. Thus, I don't actually get to go to any of these things. But they had their tournament. I don't know. Was it Hawthorne Derby weekend where the winning prize was a BCB seat, an NHC seat, tens of thousands of dollars, and second prize was like $7,000. And it's like, no, the only thing you want is first. So like in this tournament that you're talking about, yes, you play for first. The weekly ones they do is where I say, what's the difference between 4,000 and 2,000? Well, a lot, but not enough for me to say, oh, I got to go all in and lose all my bankroll for the rest of the week. And that's one, I should probably just be a $2 win bet player and then just fire that way because I can't stop myself from gambling. But what are you going to do? I have a gambling problem. It's all right. Now I get to be on a podcast. It's fine.
But yeah, no, but it's interesting, right? Because, you can always, I think my point is that you can always kind of just like go back and, I think in the last race, I fired $300. There was a horse I really liked, I think, Sinaloa. It was a Linda Rice first time starter. And I had I think I had a like $200 win bet on that horse. He was like 7 or 8 to 1. And then I had exactas with the horse Keaton first and second for the other $100. But yeah, my goal was to get to 2,000, and obviously I still would have came up short. I think because I think the winner ended up with like 3 or something like that. But yeah, it was it's funny because it's easy to kind of go back and be like, oh yeah, that $850 I had at one point, like that was that's like couple weeks worth of my bankroll. Like I things to go very south, and I could still be all right. But yeah, at that point I was just gunning for first, and like that's how you got to be. I mean, if you look at the other guys, like Tony Joe plays that thing every week, and Tony Joe is usually in first race. He's zeroed out both entries. At the Hawthorne contest, I was talking with him, and he was like. He was going to the last race, and so was I. And I had to fire at Pleasanton, which did not make me feel great. And he basically covered all the he's like, there's only 3 horses that can win here. He covered those combinations, and there's no way he was going to lose. And I'm just like, he's wagering like $700-800 to win on certain horses at Pleasanton. And I'm like, look, like maybe BC, like, with these real quality horses, maybe I could, find, but Pleasanton, a horse a track I've looked at like twice, that was.
Yep. And that's the difference. Well, I don't know between he and I, but it's definitely between he and I. I don't know about him and you. He fires all the time, and he, like you say, he's out immediately. And you know what else he does? He's at the top of the leaderboard all the time. Mm-hmm. And so it goes very much from he's in first to last, and he'll fire his whole bankroll at another one. And so when you say you want to 10x your money, the best thing I ever heard was you do a 2 to 1 with all your money, right? So you win $660 or $600 from your 200. Then you put your whole 600 on a 2 to 1 again, and then you're at 1,800 and you're right about there. And so if you wanted to play it correctly in the way that, a tournament player should, and probably most of them do, that's kind of the way you want to do it. I do on occasion, but most of the time I'm like, oh, here's a $5 trifecta that if it wins, I'm going to be at 1,100. All right, then I got a chance. And so that's more in my head. I should probably just stop doing that, as it turns out. And I say it all the time, and yet here I am still doing it. So, what are you going to do? So you want to look at race 2 here? We got a little bit of.
Yeah, I was really sad right now because I was just looking over at Saratoga, and the Lake George is actually still on. And there's a horse I liked, and I'd look over. He was like 5 to 1 in the book, and he's 2 to 1 right now. So there goes
no
that.
late money. Yeah, no late money at New York though. Just they'll tell you that all the time. computers aren't playing the wind pool there, so it was definitely not the computers doing it.
Yeah. It was funny because Caleb and Mark are talking in one of our private chats, and apparently, Mark said his last horse just got absolutely obliterated. Yeah, went from 15-1 to 8-1 as the gates popped.
Wow.
So it looks like that late money still exists there.
Still a little bit there. I did want to bring this up. I am actually, as you're talking, I'm filling out my race 3 through 10 Del Mar horse tourney right now. So it's one of my favorite things to do now. It's $19 for a lot of these. Like there's a Saratoga tournament August 12th. $19 to get this one. You get a $79 ticket tomorrow, and then from there you get your $1,000 ticket. So I'm a big fan of those, and trying to figure out which ones I wrote down, because I wrote down while trying to do a YouTube show. It's fine. I got this thing handled, maybe. So we will add this one here. I'm going to take that one down. Well, I won't, because we're going to talk about it. So race two, maiden special for maidens 3 and up. I think they're all 3-year-olds in this race. They are.
Mm-hmm.
So more of a 3-year-old maiden race than anything. I landed on the 1, 3, and 6, with the 3 being my favorite, mainly because it's a ship and win. Coming in from Oaklawn and then cutting back from a mile back to 6 or 6.5, whatever this one is, 6.5. So it kind of made sense to me. Where were you on this one?
This was 3 and 5 for me, I thought. And all that talk I had about Mike Smith, and how I want to use Mike Smith horses, and I get boomed by Mike Smith in leg 1. So, I mean, maybe he goes back to back here. I don't know. But I do like the 3 Bye Bye Ray here. Like I said, I think the cutback is going to be humongous for this horse. Ran a really nice race at Oaklawn 2 back. So I think that horse fits. And then Uncle Reg, the 5 for Tiago Pereira and Mike McCarthy. Kind of what was on the pace last time, going 6.5, and looked to just kind of fade out and get beat by Request. So I forgot. Was it Request? I forgot what horse.
Request, yeah.
Yep. But
so that one also.
Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, that one also fits in. That ship and win program is so strange, because they've now, New York's doing it and other places are doing it. They just aren't promoting it quite as much. But you can run at Santa Anita, and as long as your second race is at Del Mar, they'll still pay you for it. So you can run outside of California, run in California for one race, and then come here, and they'll still give you the ship and win program. So yeah, that one made a lot of sense, and I don't remember why I didn't like it, other than it was 3-1. And I think what may happen, and what my thought was, is that it may buy too hard for the lead with the 1 Central Dispatch who I have here. I think maybe the 1's a little bit faster, contrary to what I believe Optics said that the 5 was going to be out there. But I use Timeform most of the time, so I'm looking at that currently. But that's definitely those, like, oh man, the 5 has every right to run this race and kind of just take them. So when you beat me here, we're going to say, oh, look, we should have played a combined ticket, and look, we would have hit the pick 5 together.
Did you give any credence to the 7, Dazzle Me Silver here?
I did some, and then it really got to me that I was looking at it mainly because Emily Gullickson was saying that she liked it so much. It's like, she's right a lot, and she knows what she's doing very well. And sometimes she's wrong, and she'll tell you right away, like, yeah, I'm not going to hit everything. But when she plays 22-1 shots, and she hits them more often than, she shouldn't. So the other thing is, I hate playing maidens that run in big races like the Santa Anita Derby. And so I always kind of take that as a negative. And of course, at some point, they're going to win a maiden race. But when I see one that ran in the Santa Anita Derby, I don't know, a couple of months ago, back in April, and now coming back to, running a maiden, I'm like, I don't know about all that. So also it lost to Worcester, which Worcester was on Christmas night. I was leaving. It was debuting on opening day at Santa Anita. And I told my uncle-in-law, I know who's going to win the Kentucky Derby. The horse's name is Worcester. And I was very, very smart. I believe he's still a maiden, if I'm not mistaken there. So.
I will say that when I talked about this horse, Matthew DeSantis was very quick to correct me. It's Worcester, apparently, I think.
I've lived in California
Uh,
my whole life. I will
yeah, it's
say
some East Coast thing. I know these.
Worcestershire.
Yeah, these East Coast people they're just weirdos. But apparently it's Worcester or something. It's some Boston thing. I bet.
Yeah. Isn't
Um,
it like a town outside of Boston? I believe is what it is. Well, I don't know.
yep, they're
That's too
shoddy.
much.
Shoddy saying Worcester. Yeah, so.
Yeah. She's going to be on here a little bit later. She's at work currently, so apparently she can comment, but she can't talk. So I don't know. As far as I'm concerned, just turn it on and walk by when you want. Put some headphones in. We'll listen to what you have to say. I'm pulling up optics, and 1 and 5 are big circle. Well, 1's a big circle in quad 1, and 5 is a little circle underneath. So the 3 makes a lot of sense. Hopefully, I played the 3 somewhere. Did I play the 3 anywhere? Yeah, good. Look at me. So the squares are better closers. The 2s are, or the 2. The circles are better up front and don't tend to finish. Is the way that I explain it. I don't know if I'm explaining it correctly, but I've read it, the how to use it a million times. I'm still like, I think that's what it's saying, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, good.
Yeah, it's funny because like once you use it and like look at it and like are used to it, like it makes a ton of sense. But like when you try to explain somebody, it's like no, it's like a scale. It goes from big square to big circle, and they're like, "What the fuck are you? Or what are you talking about? Like I don't understand." And it's like, yeah, it's they're like the smaller the bigger the square, the more late pace the horse has,
Yep.
and then as the square gets smaller, that scales down, and then it goes from a small square to a small circle, and then scales up to a big circle. It's once you kind of get used to using it, it makes sense.
Yep.
The 5 is a smallish circle in Q1, so it does look like probably of the front runners the one that's going to hang on the longest.
Yep.
But the 3 and the 7 have that nice pressing trip. The 2 actually plots out pretty decent.
I know.
Mauna Kea Bound here for Mr. Hess. And, the last race does kind of fit in what Optics has got as the par range for this race. So it's another horse coming from off the pace that might fit. I'll take a quick peek here at Brisnet. I mean, you got a horse that closed at Gulfstream.
Yep.
It is interesting, right, that this is a Florida bred.
Yeah.
And they are shipping it in to California.
I'll give you one reason why they're shipping it in.
But is getting Lasix for the first time, getting blinkers for the first time. So I don't know. I don't know if the plan is to maybe kind of rush this horse up a little bit, but has been coming kind of from off the pace, passing other horses. When you have a maiden, especially like in stakes racing and stuff, I like to see these lightly raced horses that have passed other horses.
Yeah.
So might be a place you can go.
It certainly makes sense based on what the plot looks like. I was more concerned that race was they ran 2 Florida bred races and still couldn't win. And not that like Del Mar is this like capital of horse excellency, but this race, second race on opening day at Del Mar, just feels probably in a little tough for what they're doing here. But at 18-1, like that, these are the horses that I'll never get to, and why I'll never cash a $20,000 pick 5 ticket is because these ones win often enough, and I'll never ever have this horse ever, right? So it's like, all right, these are the ones that I allow to beat me, and I'm okay with it. Perfectly logical that you can get there with just the way that you did is like, look, it has the late pace. If this gets hot early and it comes running, absolutely it can do something. So the other one that I actually kind of considered here, 2 minutes to post, I want to double check, was the 9 Thrust. First time starter. Papa Drodronovich is pretty good, and Violence. I have to do that for Mike Somich. It's one of those sires that I really like going short and without a candy ride. I know nothing about breeding, but it certainly seems like those are 2 big names of horses that breed really well that I've seen, and going at looked like it was working enough that it probably was ready to go to Santa Anita, and they just said, we'll wait for Del Mar. So when the 9 beats me, just know that I've said the words out loud, so I can just say, look, I was on it, just didn't have it. So they are pick 4 is 160,000. Doesn't that seem light for a pick 4 at Del Mar?
Well, it's because my ticket hasn't hit yet.
Oh, okay, got it.
So
that makes sense.
I'm getting we're gonna up the pool here a little bit.
All right, now we're talking. It is definitely, I don't know. I love Del Mar mainly because it's in California and I'm 8 hours away, and it's almost always on the turf. I've seen them off turf like 3 times in the 5 years I've been watching horse racing. It certainly feels like if they can continue to get even races like this that I'm not a big fan of, like these are not races that I want to throw a whole bunch of money into, but enough people do and they find them interesting that this could be just as good if not better than Saratoga, because Saratoga keeps coming off the turf the way that they do, even though everybody will still talk about New York because it's New York. And I'll drink my $25 margarita at Del Mar.
Del Margaritas, baby. Like, it's always funny because that argument I always feels real stupid. Like I get the point of it, right? That the target audience, like the market that needs to grow is the betting market, right? But I'm like, man, like I don't know, man. Like, can't I put a couple $100 through the window and enjoy an overpriced cocktail too? Like,
Well,
I'm going. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say, I work in a real estate office, and a lady that I work with went to Del Mar opening day 2 or 3 years ago. And every year she says, I'm going to Del Mar. You should go to opening day. And I'm like, all right, that sounds fun. But there's too many people like you there. And so she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, I like to gamble and get drunk and not wait in line. And you're going to be in line telling them you want to do a 10-cent super that you got from me that's going to not hit anyways. And so she sent me a picture today and said, hey, send me your picks. And so I just sent her Emily's analysis and then circled the ones that she said to, so she didn't actually have to read because she's a real estate agent, so she wasn't going to read anyways. But it was really one of those like, oh, this is kind of the perfect example of who they're after, is this lady who makes way too much money and doesn't know what she's doing, but is going to throw a bunch of money around to buy drinks for everybody and then never show up, until next year at this time. Whereas you and I, taking off work, sitting around wasting time on a YouTube show, throwing as much money as we can at it, and then we aren't going. So we're going to fix horse racing, you and I, tonight, Josh. I think that's what's going to happen here.
No, yeah, we're going to Saratoga the weekend of the 11th, August 11th.
Yeah.
And the cool thing about Saratoga is if you sit out in the the picnic area that they have, or I think the park or whatever, you can just roll in the cooler with beers. You don't have you just go. Mark will usually go to is it Alchemist that makes Heady Topper, which is one of the great great beers in the U.S. And so he'll just bring stuff from them, and we're drinking awesome beer. We're just kind of hanging out in the outside. It's awesome and it's cheap. I've also sat in the 1863 club at Saratoga, and that's also fun.
Yeah,
it's just a different kind of fun,
Yep.
But yeah, I do think that the sometimes especially with coverage, right? When they talk about TV coverage, I don't think enough time gets spent actually talking about the betting, talking about the handicapping. We try to do a little bit of that with our live streams and our videos and stuff like that, but sometimes it gets really easy to just be like, oh, just toss picks out there, because that's what people want. But we try to do a little bit more.
That's what I want. I always like to come on early so we can do the pick five, so I can say, hey, look, here's my ticket. This is who I like. And then as we go through the races, we actually talk about the race and why we like each horse in it. And it gets to be a little long. These are 2-hour-ish type shows, and we were doing them on Canterbury. Let's just say it was hard to cover a bunch of time on Canterbury. So this, we're doing Del Mar moving forward on Fridays, and they're 4 p.m. Pacific first post, which is just like the perfect time. It's like, all right, we're all going to get home and drink and talk about all this other stuff. And that's what we're really after when we're doing these. And that's why I told them, yeah, we can do a pick five show, but you guys don't need another pick five show. You guys do a lot of those, and they do a lot of these live shows that they talk in this kind of way. And I always find these to be, even if you don't get a single winner out of it, if you learn 2 or 3 things, it makes you so much better. Like those Chris Larmy podcasts that he's doing, I've gotten so much smarter based on that as they break out of the gate. And there's a whole bunch of them.
Yeah, it looks like 1-3-5 go out to the lead there.
Okay. 1-3 holding on would be just fine for me. Sorry, Josh.
I got the 3. The 3's fine.
Okay, perfect. This is the best part of a YouTube show is two guys watching their phones or watching
Dude,
their.
God bless Matthew DeSantis. He tries to call these things, and I'm just like, man, like you're doing God's work here. And hey, maybe that's why he's at Naira, right? And
True.
but it looks like the one's gonna kind of pack it in. Looks like
Yeah.
3 and 5 are kind of dueling out, and it looks
Who's
like the
making that
6
move
horse
on
from
the
outside.
outside?
Is that the
Is that my
6?
Come on, 6. Tell me I'm not gonna hit a $20,000 pick 5 as just 6 rolls home. Rolls. Wow.
He's just There you go. That looks like that's another kind of like presser type that seemed to win there.
It didn't look like it was close. It looked pretty far off. I didn't even know where it was because I was too busy seeing how fast they were going.
There you go. First time starter here, Dr. Venkman. Did you use it just because of the name?
I wish it was. Let me pull it up. I have my notes here. Because it was scratched at Del Mar in November. So they wanted to run it in November at Del Mar, and it got scratched, and they kept it in training, and then it was off training for a little bit, and then they looked like they were pointing it to come here, and it's just one of those like, ooh, they want to win at Del Mar. So again, I can thank our friend Emily Gullickson, who told me that they scratched here. So at one point, I'm going to have to actually promote what she's doing. Oh, and Racing Dudes also. I have a thing that I can put up. Buy the Haskell guide from them. Thank you. RacingDudes.com products page. I always do it at the end, and then I always forget that I should do it sometime in the middle. They have ads and everything. I don't know. Can you see all the stuff they have on the side here? Like we could play all sorts of games.
I cannot.
Oh, perfect. Then I can do what you do to everybody on your show, which is something like this.
That's so funny. Yeah, it's weird. Like Stream, so we use a different software, very similar, but just slightly different in Restream. I don't know how much other people can kind of see.
Yeah. Apparently the guests can't see anything and I get all the power. It's really kind of scary that Magic's talked to me like 6 times in our life over Twitter. And like, we've met one time doing this. He was like, hey, you guys can do a show. We'll do whatever you want. Here, go and do this. Like we can put on whatever we want here. And like, he's at Comic-Con. Racing Dudes aren't actually watching this. Like they're like, no, they're watching Del Mar. They don't need to be watching us do Del Mar. So it's kind of my favorite thing is like, yeah, 6 o'clock. God, who cares? Do whatever. We have people watching. That's all they need. Oh, there's my dog.
Oh, there's a dog too.
I'm on vacation and my family is at a pool and the dog can't go to the pool. So I was like, well, I guess he can stay up here. Just make sure nobody comes to the door. And somebody came to the door. Dog didn't like it so much. So got that going for us too. He's awake now. Let's see what he needs. Nothing. Good. So you guys do On the Wrong Lead every week? Once a week, right? And do you do live shows all the time? Or, I mean, your show is live, but then do you also do a live broadcast on Saturday, like to watch and stuff? Or is it just
so we used to kind of do like beforehand. And it was really funny because like part of the reason we did it was, because stuff changes all the time. So we're like, all right, we'll do this. We'll have, we'll kind of have like, be able to update stuff. And then just like all of a sudden, like there were like never big scratches, never anything. And so like we would sit there, we talk about all the races. And then it was like by the time like the racing actually started, we kind of just like run out of steam because like we'd been on for like an hour and a half before. So it's tough, man. It takes a lot of energy to do this. I know, if people have never done this, it's like, it requires thought. Right. And like usually when I sit at my computer, especially even at work, like my brain is not working most of the time. Like, so like you gotta think, you have to exude energy if you want to keep the people engaged. And on top of it, you got to read chat because you never know what people are going to be saying in there. So it's like
fun part.
And then especially with live betting, what I've always found is like, and you have to like tend to your bets. So it's just like, it's just a bunch of stuff.
It's why I like the horse tourney ones with this because it's the pick and pray. So I got my picks in. I know who scratched. It's like, you know what? My opinion may change just slightly enough, but it's fine. So that's always good. So Let's talk race 3 because I don't think we talked enough race 2, and maybe we did, and I just didn't pay attention to myself talking because I was pushing buttons and doing other stuff. So we were going to get rid of that. It's also fun because I talk to myself about doing things that I'm watching myself do, and that's also good for people listening. It's bad enough at my office when I start talking to myself, like, "Are you talking to me?" No, I'm talking to myself. Don't worry, just out loud. I'm on the one singled here on Oak Street Beach. Getting back to the turf was interesting to me, and ship and win. Ah, almost knocked my beer over trying to be funny. That would have just been the most perfect of middle of this show is me throwing beer all over the place because I'm trying to be cute. Um, the one getting back to turf is also it just this race was wide open. I hate turf races. They are just not what I like because there's so much chaos and so much can happen. I'm much better at dirt. I'm much better at picking, dirt sprints. You don't get great prices with it. And that's my 4 or 5 to 1s I like to go after. Um, but this one is Thomas Proctor, who's shipping in and being at Del Mar for the first time since 2018, I believe. And so it's just one of those like, well, he's pointing here for a reason, coming out of Gulfstream, wants to find a spot to race this one, and 2 sprints to a route is also a good angle for me. So to keep my ticket only $54, I singled the one Oak Street Beach here, where you were somewhere else. The 2, I believe, if I'm not
Yeah, I
mistaken.
like the two here a little bit. The two, I had the 5 and the 12. So I thought the 2 and the 5 kind of made the most sense,
Hmm.
from a just kind of, I like the 5. Obviously, I like, what is he at right now? I don't have the odds up, but I'm guessing the 5 is going to go off pretty short. I thought the 5 showed a bit last time out, coming out of a key race here at Santa Anita. Horse has been training very well. He's got a bullet 2 back. So I think that this horse is ready to fire off that layoff. You get Umberto Rispoli aboard, who is very good on the turf. So I thought the 5 fit in here really
Hmm.
well, but obviously, price dependent if you're not doing something horizontal. I thought the 2 Sakura Flavor here, kind of closed in. Uh, has kind of closed in her last 2 races. I think seemed to have kind of figured it out, and just missed the last 2. So I think kind of coming back in here, with a trainer that tends to, I think, kind of bring horses along kind of slowly. So I'm not gonna beat this one up for not having broken its maiden yet. And gets Mike Smith aboard again. So
Yep.
I thought that was a plus there on the 2, and then obviously the 12 is 0 for 10, so has been running quite a bit here. But they've only tried routing this horse twice. I thought 2 back, that race looked pretty good, and
Hmm.
then they immediately shortened the horse up again. So I think
Yeah.
stretching the horse back out, letting it kind of just run, do its own thing, get on the front end. I think the 12 could be a little bit dangerous here. So the 12 is probably more like a B, but I don't know if you get a good enough price on this 12. I mean, it's going to definitely be in win bet territory. Looks like the 5 is at 3-2 right now.
Yep.
The 12 is at
And
19-1.
yeah.
So definitely worth looking at, possibly as a win bet, or using underneath in an exacta at least.
Yeah. So that's what I've been focusing a lot of my attention on. And I use ExpressBet. And if not every track, but many tracks like Del Mar and like all of Naira and all of the first racing, so Stronach Group ones, they offer you the probables for trifectas. And so you can go in and see what the trifectas are going to be paying. And it's probably the worst thing that's ever happened to me because I just start looking for prices as opposed to saying, "Oh, you mean 40 to 1 isn't good, or $40 for 50-cent trifecta isn't good enough for you, Nick? What else are you playing?" So I've stopped looking so much at price as much as knowing if it's just going to be way over bet, and then maybe I just knock a few of these horses off of what's showing up there, as opposed to adding in 5 in that third spot. I just kind of cut it down some. So I was looking at a trifecta because I'm single to the 1. My defensive play is kind of putting the 5 on top in a defensive play and then running a trifecta through it with a 1 in second. And then just kind of, I had the 2, 3, and 11 as backups. And so I was kind of wondering, well, I do a 5 with 1 with 2, 3, 7, 11, 12. You got a number? Give me a number. Hey, 9-year-old, give me a number. And then just kind of look for those and see if there's anything there because they are relatively cheap. And if you go small enough on top, I don't play verticals well. I don't believe I play them. I don't know that I play them well. And so, do you have any strong or ideas on how to play vertical wagering, especially the trifecta?
Yeah, you got to pair different run styles, in my opinion. Unless, like I said, like if you think that there's not a ton of pace, maybe you just put all the front runners up there. But generally, I like to look at run styles, look at pace.
Mm-hmm.
If I think that like a deep closer is going to go ahead and win, right? Or I think an off the pace horse is going to win. I obviously I start at top, and then for a second and third, I start looking at, all right, are any of these speed horses going to hold on? Which of the
Mm-hmm.
speed horses are going to hold on? And kind of you kind of build that way. But
Yeah.
I think especially with trifectas, you have to be you got to be thinking about it from a pace standpoint. So like like here, like if you think you're one horse. Let me look at the run style here.
So the time form has the one out in front. The standard plot has the one out in front, but the surface distance doesn't have the one because she hasn't ran this far yet.
Mm-hmm.
So your 5 is a nice big square. So that definitely makes sense. And your 12 is a big circle up in front and way over the par line here. So your 12-5 exacta feels a little great, especially when you look at the optics plot standard view of it. It's like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
the 12 is in. I always just say plot 1 in a square, that's the winner. And I kind of move on, which is why I try not to look at the plot so much. I look
Yeah.
at it more as like an idea and not as like gospel, which
Yep.
shockingly there is no gospel in horse racing. But
Yep. But
yeah.
yeah, I like when you're looking at verticals, especially, you kind of gotta look at the different run styles and kind of just
Hmm.
you go that way, and you think your speed horse is going to put away the other speed. All right, who's going to clunk up for second or third?
Yeah.
So
And so I'm going to build my own little ticket over here. And other question before we do that, there's no reason for me to play a trifecta here if I'm putting the one on top, or do I play the one on top because I have a pick 5 going and I still have 3 legs out or 2 legs after this? So do you defensively use here, or do you, if you're playing a single, do you have to play the single on top, or are they 2 different pools and thus you can do whatever you want?
I mean,
Well,
you
it's
can
your own money.
technically
Do
do
whatever
whatever
you
you
want.
want, but
Yeah.
then you got to remember you're betting against yourself.
Yeah.
So you know, I never like to bet against myself. Sometimes it does happen where something just ridiculous, maybe something ridiculous happens, or you see a huge inefficiency in like the win pool or something like that, or the exacta pool. Maybe you pull the pull trigger there, but like
Hmm.
if we're trying to like build good basic fundamentals, like just never bet against yourself, right? If you have
Yeah.
a horse singled, you eat and just don't bet another horse to win.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't make any sense, right?
Yep.
Also, if you have a horse single, like why are you going to use exactas with the other horse on top? Like, oh, you want to build a saver or something? Well, it's like, well, then why did you single the horse in the first? Like
Yep.
you start thinking about things that way, and I wouldn't force an exacta or trifecta with the one. Like, hey, your pick 5 tickets in already, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're not like totally just like set, like, hey, maybe you think that the one's not that great now. I mean, I wouldn't tell you, just don't force anything. You
Yep.
gotta.
Yep. So racing downwind is on the 5 here. I hope I talked you onto that one, though I highly doubt I talked anybody onto anything. We got Dr. Tang making
Hello,
it.
guys. How are you doing? Sorry for being
Good.
late.
It's all right. You're curing cancer, or you're
Wait,
telling
a
us you're curing
doctor
cancer.
being late? No,
Yeah,
that never
I've heard of
happens.
that.
You should see his tweets to us. They don't actually, like, we can't read them. They're just, he writes them by hand.
Oh no.
That was the worst joke. Like, you can't giggle at that. That's bad. Dr. Ting, who were you on here in this in the third leg?
I was pretty deep here. I think my ticket, which is now defunct, 1, 5, 6, 7, 11 here. So
Okay.
I spread it here. So my approach to the sequence is I thought the maiden races were pretty wide open. And so I basically shrunk down my picks in for the race 1 and race 4. So this one I went so I could spread in the maiden races, which is one what we're looking at right now.
Yeah, these are just races that I've said, and I will say over and over again, I can't do anything with a maiden race like this. And so I'm either going to go all, which I won't ever do. I've stopped doing that. So I've now moved to the biggest prices on the board, or I'm going to single or go, 2 or 3 deep. And so in this case, it was nothing here made me feel all that good nor tingly. So I'm going to work that way. Josh, you had the 5 and you had who was the other? You had the 2.
2, 5, and 12 in here.
12. Okay. So those they all make sense. And that's one of the beauties of maiden races. Like, I can talk myself into all of them. So you get prices on basically everything other than the 5. 5 is currently sitting at 7-5. I don't think there shouldn't be any horse in this race at 7-5, right? I mean, there's no reason for that.
Yeah, that's a pretty low price to take on this wide open field, it looks like.
So then do you have an idea of how you would play do you play in a pick 3 here, or are you out and just now coming on to
No. I once I'm out, I usually don't follow back unless one of my key horses is coming up, when not so much. So no, I don't chase.
Can you teach me how to do that? I would love the amount of money I lose on the run back pick 4 and pick 3 is probably just astronomical.
Yeah, I used to do that, and then I started keeping a record. I'm like, what the hell am I doing? Look at these run backs, or this is horrible. The ROI is so bad here. So I'm like, I'm cutting this out. Plus, then you run back on the pick 3 and pick 4, which the takeout is worse than when you put in for the pick 5 here, right? So then you're playing into a pool, you're running it back, the takeout is worse. So it's like, can't do it.
You want to hear a funny story? So Santa Anita, maybe 2 years ago, I had a pick 5 ticket dead in the first leg, and it was one of those Santa Anita cards where there were just like 5 horse fields in the whole early pick 5, right? And so I'm like, all right, I'm out. I'm like, I'm gonna run back to pick 4, but I'm gonna cut like 2 horses, right? And I, of course, I cut 2 horses and I lose, and those 2 horses, the one of the horses I cut would have won. That pick 4, it was all like 5 horse fields. That pick 4 ended up paying like $2,500 for 50 cents. It was something just ridiculous. And I'm just like sitting there with my jaw open. I'm just like really, like I probably saved myself $2 right cutting these 2 horses, and sure enough, there's thousands of dollars just slipping through my fingers. But it's I think I might put a little win bet on this 12, just because I think this price is kind of nutso. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if the 5 just wins this one. So
I completely understand the thinking the 5 is going to win here. I can't imagine betting on a horse in a 12-horse field, in a maiden 12-horse field at Del Mar, that you're going to get 7-5 and feel good about it, outside of a Baffert horse that everybody knows is going to win. But even then, it's like, those are 6-horse fields because they're on the dirt. So, are you on any contest tonight there, Mr. Doc Tang? Or you?
I am in a pick and pray right now, and I'm a little bit nervous right now. I am leading the Monmouth contest right now, where there's top 8 will get something for tomorrow. So, and in the 75 NHC out of 465, I'm in second right now. So,
all right,
I have 4 more races to sweat out to see if I can get another NHC seat.
So we'll all get to see her watch you sweat them out together, because the rest of it's Del Mar, right? It's just the last.
Well, there's Indiana, and there's 2 Del Mars, and the last in Saratoga.
Okay. I haven't looked at all at Saratoga when it rained off. I was just like, I'm going to talk about Del Mar today, so I'm just going to look at the early pick 5 at Del Mar. Maybe I should just do that all the time, because now I have 2 winners in a row. Like, maybe if I just focus on one thing and do that, maybe I'll be okay. But that sounds way less fun, because not nearly enough Los Alamitos action. Like, when LaSalle comes back, when they shut down Golden Gate Fields, it's going to be a disaster for me. I'm going to lose so much money at LaSalle. It's going to be sad. Like I'm going to be begging for money from my wife, worse than I do now. And that was all. There was a joke there. It just got a little dark.
Yeah, but
sad.
we just kind of felt a little sad.
Yeah.
We heard that, so we just kind of let that one linger.
Yeah, we'll let you have your moments.
That's how sad it actually was. All right, so we have the Haskell tomorrow. I know, Josh, you looked at it. Dr. Tang, you're trying to get into that disaster of a contest. I know everybody loves Monmouth. It is perhaps my least favorite track in the world because I don't know why. Mainly because I've lost there so much because I was like, oh, the Haskell, let me fire the early pick 5. Shockingly, I didn't hit it. But do you have one? I'm going to start with, I'm going to pull it up and ask Josh, what do you think the odds are for that Baffert, the Arabian Night? What do you think we get?
I saw plus 160 on some books. So what is that, like 8 to 5 or something?
8 to 5-ish. Yeah.
That horse is going to get bet off the board. If you watched Saratoga today, Blazing Sevens threw up a big L. Yep. And that's the horse that outkicked Mage. So, I mean, I have a hard time. I think there's 4 horses in that race that can win. One of them is Arabian Night, and he's going to be too short. So I'm going to have to use the other ones, I think. The one, Go Rocket Ride, I really like. I liked the 3, Salute the Stars, I think might be a little bit sneaky. And Extra Neho, the 7. So I'm going to use some combination of those 3. We'll just have to see. We looked at the late pick 5, and there's a couple of spots where it's like you got to make decisions, right? You got search results in there, and I think the Molly Pitcher, and she's going to be 2 to 5 in that spot. So. There's a lot of real strong looking short prices in that sequence. So if you're going to play that, you kind of got to structure accordingly.
Yeah. Darting, have you looked at the Haskell yet?
Yeah, I looked at it because I already have an entry for tomorrow's contest. So I kind of looked. It's not the last race of the contest, but I looked at it. Yeah, it's. I mean, I like the Baffert's Arabian Horse. I like Go Rocket Ride, and I was a little bit on Mage. I'm not as high on it for a couple. I would use Mage in the unders in my maybe exactas and tries, but I wouldn't put Mage on top. Baffert's horse. It's going to be bet down, but my whole thing is like, why is he shipping here if he doesn't think that he's going to run something? So that's one thing with Arabian Horse. Also, Mandela, when Mandela ships, he rarely does. So why is he shipping way across the country? So does he think with Go Rocket Ride? So those are the 2 on top. I like Mage. Mage is basically the pace setup. So I don't know. There's going to be a lot of speed in here from what it seems to me. So I think the 8 wants to go. The 1 wants to go. Extra Neho may want to go. So we'll see what the pace pressure is, but if the race falls apart, then it's Mages to pick up. That's what I would think. But D'Angelo, the trainer, it's kind of like, well, we're using this as a setup for the Travers. So it's kind of like, that was a weird comment also. So it should, hopefully it should be a good race. Maybe one of them will win and we'll get some standout in the 3-year-old, or it could just be a crapshoot and some random horse wins and we're still as confused as we were before.
Yeah, and it certainly feels like it's going to be just a confusion because the 3-year-olds have actually been good, just nobody's been great. At least greater than the rest, which is, I think, makes it good, especially when you have such a little idea of what the classic's going to shape up to be. Because like if Cody's Wish can't get a 1.25 miles, and I don't know why everybody seems to think like, oh, it's a sure thing he's going to get a 1.25 miles. Like if he could have, why didn't they run him more than a mile ever in his life ever? So I like Extra Neho because they could have ran him in the today, the Curlin today. Like they could have ran him there and beat up against 7 Blazing Sevens.
Blazing Sevens, yes.
Right, and it's like they could have ran him there, and they chose to go here. And Asmussen, I forget if it was Winchell or who it was that owns it, but it says right here. I guess I can look. But like they don't need the money, so it's like they want to win this race, and so I kind of have this like, oh, this is a hunch play to some degree of Extra Neho. I think has a legit shot. So yeah, I like this race. I never found the Haskell to be the most fun. What's the one at Saratoga? That's what, next week or 2 weeks? The prep for the Travers. What's the 3-year-old dirt race that they have coming up? Isn't there one there, or am I mixing it up?
because it's the Curlin and it's the other one that are like the same exact race.
Right.
But one is like restricted.
Right. I don't recall what it's called.
Yeah, it's that race. You guys all know what it is. Somebody mentioned it. We got it.
Somebody will get in the chat. Yeah.
I don't know. It's one of my favorite things is that the Del Mar has so few 3-year-old dirt races, but they've made these big push to the 3-year-old turf, and they have some good races there. And the one big race, the one big dirt race they have, they have the sprint, the Bing Crosby Sprint, and then they have the Pacific Classic, and that's kind of the only dirt things they do at Del Mar. And so it's kind of Jim Dandy. We're going to get there. Thank you, Ron. It's definitely one of those that I wonder if there is enough, because like when we looked at the probables for this race not that long ago, there was a lot more coming to the Haskell. So I do wonder if some of them have kind of pointed now towards the Jim Dandy. I don't know. That was a good way of ending that segment of talking about a race that actually looks good, of me forgetting the name of another race while then seeing other horses are going there. That's why they put me in charge over here. It's good stuff. So we got 5 minutes or so to this next one. Let's look at that one. Yeah, 5 minutes. So the United Nations is also tomorrow, and I hear, again, I don't like turf races, so I never really look at this, but didn't the United Nations come up pretty big too? Or am I making this up?
You're looking at the Jizz race. You're not looking at the matchmaker. Oh, you had the matchmaker pulled up, which is funny because the prize is you get a free breeding to one of the horses, one of the like stallions. So my friend, my friend Chase, likes he's got a fun name for it. But yeah, I think it's like the Seaman Stakes or something. I forget what it was, but.
This the United Nations is the race before the Haskell.
This is the United Nations. Yeah. Okay. So, I mean, it's the who's who of old turf horses that like to go along. That they all will just keep running forever because they're all gelded. Yep. Like, what else are we going to do? Like, what else do you do with a horse like this? You just try to run it until it's like, I don't want to run anymore. And even then you're like, well, one more time.
Hey, that's what they do in Hong Kong. They just geld all the horses. So you can't get a stallion deal because they're all gelded. So, I thought Red Knight looked pretty good in here. He's going to be the favorite. I did give a look at 2 other horses. I think the 2 So High, which is going to be a humongous price. But this race looks pretty devoid of speed. So. Might be the speed in here, and then I also like the 3 Catnip for Rosario and Stidham. I'll be using some combination of those 3. We'll figure out how I kind of structure it when stuff goes out. And Alex in chat saying he loves Catnip here. So
yeah. I haven't looked at all, so I'm going to not add anything of any value. Like I would have added value anyways, but now I'm going to really not add value by telling you how little I know about it. So, Dr. Tang, you nodded pretty vigorously at So High. Do you have similar opinions as?
Yeah, I think So High has a chance because it's pretty low in speed. The only problem is I don't really like the jockey. But oh well. I mean, Romero Mirage sometimes. We'll see. You're going to get all of the 30 to 1. I like Catnip. Although my second favorite jockey is on there, Rosario.
Hey, he just won the
yes,
big stakes at Saratoga.
Yes, he did. I had him there. Anyway, so it's a love-hate with him right now. But yeah, I like Catnip a lot. And then obviously your Red Knights, who's been around forever, and we know we can run your 11, 12 furlongs, and he's he won the Man of War this year. So I mean, yeah, I think we'll see how the pace sets up for him, though. He needs something to run at. That's the only thing.
Well, the thing is too, like what I don't have the PPs up, but I think he was in the Manhattan last time out,
Yes.
and the Manhattan I think is 1.25 miles. I think it was just way too short for him. So
Correct. Yeah.
I think he's gonna get in a little bit extra distance. It's gonna help him out.
Yeah, the Man of War was where he won, and it has the 11 furlongs for him. Yep.
That is before a race starts, I'll ask a random question that I always find interesting. I don't understand how 1 mile and 3/8 versus 1.5 miles versus 1 mile and 5/8 is that different. Like, it's 1/8 of a mile. Like, it shouldn't be that big of a deal, but it does all the time. Like, it's like a constantly a thing, and I'm always surprised. Like, you like to, like, I understand why you can't go from 6 furlongs to 9. Like, okay, I get that, but like 9 to 11, like that much.
Nick, I tried to run 1/8 of a mile the other day, and you know what? It does make a difference. All right.
Well, no, if we're betting on who's going to win a race between you and I, it's really going to be one of those like, well, who can get the distance? But when you're a horse, I don't know. Obviously, it matters, right? Like, clearly, it makes a difference. But it's one of those like, I don't understand it at all. Maybe I'm just too dumb, but it really is like. They really can't go 1/8 of a mile after running all that long, especially on the turf. Like, they didn't even run. Like, they were jogging. Like, I can jog for 20 feet, 30 feet. So now I'm going 50 feet, and I got to sprint for a mile. Like, 3 steps. Got it.
Yeah.
So I'm going to take this down, and you guys need to hear everything that I'm doing. I think I'm way against the 5 here, but I see exactly. I don't see exactly. I see why it can win. I see why it makes sense, but it's definitely not one that I'm super happy about, right? I mean, Josh, you liked it because you thought it had the best closing ability, but I don't think you wanted it 7-5, right?
I also thought I was going to be live in this spot, so now that I'm not, I like it a lot less. I got a flyer on the 12 here. I thought the 12 at 23-1 offers a little bit of value.
Mm-hmm.
I got some exactas with the 2, 5, and 12. So, see if we get something here with this 12. So,
yep, got 11 and 7 in the contest. So, those are both prices, 10-1 and 17-1. So,
I'm on the 1, singled in the pick 5 and in the.
Why you're like, dude? Nick is over here. He's like, oh, I don't know what I'm talking about, and he's the only one live.
Yeah, if he hits this 10-1 here, this thing's gonna start ballooning here.
But again, we're now on the turf. Like, the first 2 dirt races were a dirt race. Like, oh, okay, got it. Like, if they like Oaklawn, let's just run at Oaklawn year round. Like, only run at Oaklawn.
Please, let's not run at Oaklawn year round.
Aaron would like that, but no, other than that, no.
And the 1 did not get the lead. And your 11's on the lead, and the 7's on the lead, and the 10.
12's going.
12, 11,
4.
Well, the 1's going to have a trip if he is good, right? That's what they say.
The 4 is in the lead right here. The 45-1 horse, Victor Espinosa. The 11's tracking kind of like where I wanted it to be.
Has the 4 ever ran on turf?
That's a good question.
That's we're on these plots. No, it's 2 dirt races.
No, it has not.
Okay.
It's 4, 11, 12, 7. Your 1's right there in 5th, hanging around. Has and this is going to get a little wild, it looks like.
Yeah. They're going 6 wide.
Yeah, a lot of horses going 6 wide. The 4 drops anchor. Here comes my 11 running with it. The 12 is coming with it. The 7, the 6
with it.
Now here comes all the outside horses. The 8, what is that? The 8.
9. 8,
The 8
9.
at 25 to 1.
At 20. Wow.
Wow.
You 28
8,
over
9, 6.
32 to 1 exact.
Wow.
And that's your. That's why I said the the one the maiden races. That's what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You got your 28 over 32 to 1 exacta, folks.
And this is why I hate turf races.
Yeah.
Like, all right. Like, I just,
Oh man.
what I mean, and I understand why people like them and people are good at them. And you guys are actually both good at picking turf races like this. And like, you didn't get this one, but very few people did it 25 to 1. It certainly feels like this happens way more often than it should. And not so much, but even still in the stakes races. But you get your maiden races, like, I don't know, throw a dart, pick the 5 longest shots on the board and hope. So I will say that forever. Is I just don't quite understand how turf races you can be good at them and get them consistently. And
That was a hard one to get. That's all I have to say.
For like, there was like a split second where I thought my 12 might might have done it. Damn.
It was my 11 that started. It was at the top of the stretch. I'm like, can it hold? Then your 12 started coming. And I'm like, this race is now going to fall completely apart. And you see these 2 horses wide coming in, just closing.
And the 5 didn't run at all at 4 to 5.
No, there's no way that you should be taking the 4 to 5 here in this race. I mean, I'd give you 20 to 1. I mean, I'd give it to you. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah, there's a Ron speaking my language. It just takes 1, my friend. It's all it needs. Just takes 1.
Yeah.
That is exactly how I understand you're supposed to do it. Is like, yeah, you just, take one of them and you'll be good. Yeah, I mean, then that you need to be ultra consistent if you're playing a 4 to 5 shot or even money shot. But if you're playing a 20 to 1 shot, you got to be right once out of 19 times, basically.
Like I said, man, 1 pick 5, 1 pick 6 made my entire year last year. So
yeah,
that's all you need. Although I say that, and I don't think I've hit any pick 5s this year.
Roast.
So.
Well, one of our experts had it.
So I want to talk about this next race.
Yeah. Mr. Somich had that.
Oh, really?
By the way, he just texted me all the way from Saratoga. Yep.
Oh.
Somobombs.
Jerk. I want to talk about this next race because my favorite angle of all time is claiming races at Del Mar, going. Oh, that's Monmouth. I'm good at this. Going for claiming races at Del Mar with horses coming out of Los Alamitos, because Los Alamitos horses just run fast, and you want to be on the lead at Del Mar. So this 6 is the one that I'm like, ooh, I really like what this one's looking like.
So you're going against Emily here.
That's a correct response.
That's a good look for you, Nick. You're looking like frozen there. Your eyes closed for some reason. Or is that me?
I have my moments.
Is that me? Is it my internet that's going bad, or is it
very
Nick's?
slow? I don't know if I'm very much.
Somebody's internet. Well,
how many people in your contest had that 8?
we'll see. It's hard to, but there were people that had it. I mean,
Isn't that the worst? That's like what I hate about pick and pray. All of a sudden, it's just like you see a 24 to 1 shot that you don't have, and you're like, oh,
you're trying to just count. You're just trying to like, oh, who has it below you? Or like trying to just scan through.
Yeah.
Let's look at all the pink numbers. That's because it's an 8. So there are a fair amount. So now it's going to be a slog. Mike is one of them. Now he's going to come and catch me. Oh, well.
Oh,
and Nick is gone. Nick Seevers. Oh, there he is.
He's back. Maybe.
What happened? And no, Nick is frozen.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's take a... Oh.
Nope.
All right.
Are you still at your office right now?
Yes, I am.
Oh, look at this. I love it. I mean, I'm technically in my office too, since I work from home, but
there we go. Yeah. So, Okay, let's take a look at this race. Del Mar Ford. You guys talk about this race already, or?
We talked about it a little bit. I had a hard time getting around the two here, Santos to
Yes,
Wilson.
me too.
This was a single for me in the pick five.
Nice.
So I'm gonna do something with this two probably into the next race.
Got it.
The next race is tough though. Race 5
Ugh,
is
that's brutal.
I had like 4 horses and
Yeah.
I still didn't feel like I had enough. So
Especially with
so
all those,
we'll see what kind of
first-time
price we get on this too. Maybe it's just a win bet, but
Sure.
I have a feeling it might be a little too short. But
Yeah,
where did you kind of see
6 to 5.
it?
Yeah, I thought the 2 was a definite contender. I only went 2 deep in this race in my defunct pick 5. It was the 2 and 10 was my upset pick. Mongolian Legend, Abel Cedillo, on this horse. Was running at Santa Anita the whole time. It's a dead closer. So it's one of these horses where if the race falls apart, I think it come and pick up the pieces. 12 to 1 morning line. So I thought I would get all of it. My other horse that I was looking at was the 11 as well. This horse has been running the past 3 races were turf. So I scratched, and his only dirt race had a pretty decent effort. So that's why I like that one also. But I think the 2 is pretty strong here.
Yeah, but now it looks like the 2 is 6 to 5, so I might just be sitting on my hands here. Which is, I mean, that's tough, right? Like I was talking Nick before. The first race I really liked the 8 horse, and I knew he was going to be short, so we basically needed to kind of cut down. So had 2 singles in the sequence, the 8 and then the 2 here, but. Yeah, I'm 0 for 3 right now, so I'm not necessarily sweating the single at this point.
I just don't understand how the 2 gets bet like that, right? Like, there's nothing here that the 2 is doing. Like, we all like the 2, right? So it's like, okay, I see that the 2 is decent, but what makes the 2 here even money, right? Like, yeah, it's better, I suppose, but not that much better, is it? Like, am I crazy?
I mean, you're a little crazy, but not because of that opinion.
There. Right. I mean,
I agree with you. I agree with you. Like, I mean, it's, if I was singled, if I was still alive, like at that point, like what do you care, right? You're just trying to get through. But yeah, like for a single race bet, I don't really know if you can do anything here. I was a little interested in the 5. Corn Pop. You kind of got to squint at the PPs and maybe turn them upside down to kind of get there a little bit. Fits pretty well on optics. And I didn't realize that this horse was 20 to 1. I just assumed it was another short price, but the races 3 back from Turf Paradise look all right. But now you're talking about going from Turf Paradise to Del Mar. So I don't know. Wait, Nick. So this horse ran at Turf Paradise, then ran once at Santa Anita, and now is running at Del Mar.
Ship and win.
Yeah, there we go. There you go.
Ship and win. Yeah.
We're getting them drunk just by saying that. Although I bet you it's just water in there.
No, the best thing is it's basically water. It's a daytime, so it's 4.8%. So it's basically Coors Light, but it tastes not like water. So I got that going for me. I was on the 6 and the 9, 10, and 2 here. I don't know if you guys heard my great idea about the 6 because it's coming from Los Alamitos, thus free money. I love, it's my favorite angle. Sprints from Los Al to sprints at Del Mar, I think is one of the better angles that gets way overlooked. This one may not be good enough, but it hasn't ran on the dirt outside of Los Al, so I like it kind of a lot. 2 we've talked way too much about. The 10 was the one that sort of fit in a way that I didn't quite understand why it was going to be 12 to 1. Its speed figures fit against these ones, at least the time form numbers, and it's dropped. Well, nope, that's the wrong one. It's moving up. I know exactly why it's 12 to 1 because it doesn't make any sense, and it's one of those that it's it figures fit. It was the 9 that sort of made no sense because it's dropping from a 16 to a 20 to a 25. It keeps moving up and not winning, but dropping back into for 20. So the 9 Curly Essa, I kind of thought like you shouldn't be getting 12 to 1 on that one, and we're getting 20 currently. So I kind of that one I like kind of a lot for a price, anyways. And then the 2 is So these are the races, the lower level. I mean, this isn't the lowest, but a 20K claimer at Del Mar is a pretty low level. On dirt, you can kind of make cases and they make sense. And I guess it's how you pick turf races the same way. It's like it sort of fits, it sort of makes sense on what it's doing, and look, there it is. So the 2, 6, 9, and 10 fit in my little thoughts about it. So I'm at where I was live in my pick 5, which I no longer am. That's where I would be. I am considering a double into the 2 from here. So going 2, 6, 9, 10 into the 2. I'm going to check prices here in a little bit. But I think the 2 makes a lot of sense in the next one. So maybe I have a shot there. But I love these horizontal. I love the doubles. They're one of my favorite bets. And listening to somebody, what's his name? Jim Cummings, or the guy from Race Federation Foundation, whatever they call themselves, that the computers don't play the doubles very much, and so the doubles have become one of those ones that I'm trying to look at a little bit more closely because they don't want to give their bets away. So at Del Mar, the last 5 or so years, they haven't played the doubles at all. So I like seeing the probables. It's one of the things that makes me happy about knowing what I'm going to bet. So do you play doubles, Josh? Or are you straight? You got to play 5 or 6?
Hey, man, like, I don't know if I need to be worried about the computers at this point. I don't think I can beat the person picking names right now. So, no, I do like the double. I think it's tough. Lately, I've become more of a pick 5 player, and it just eats up so much of your bankroll, and that it ties it up too, right? Like, it's not like a double or a win bet or an exacta, right, where you get paid out after a race or you get paid out of 2 races, right? Your money's tied up for 5 races. You got to hope you hit something. So so it's tough. Like, you really gotta make a decision there. But yeah, no, I love playing doubles. I was when you were having your technical issues, I was talking to Dr. Tang there a little bit about. I would love to double out of this too, right? Even though it's 7 to 5, it's a short price. But the next race, I'm like 4 or 5 deep, so it's tough to do. And then I'm already using a short price. Like, how do I kind of do it? Like, I would, I do like the 2 a little bit the next race. So I was thinking maybe a 2-2 double, but I don't know. I haven't looked at probables yet.
36 for 2 on that one. So the 2 is the one that I like the most in the next race. Again, it's what I think it's a. Oh, wrong one. It's a maiden race on the next one, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's one of those, like, you're going to get a price. Yeah. So if you're not getting a huge price, you might as well play something else, because we just saw what happens in that last race in race 3. So
bombs.
Oh, there we go. It's a 2-year-old Calbred. Yeah, 2-year-old Calbred going 5 on the dirt. Like, pick a number. I was 3 deep, and I could have gone all. So a double's fun because you do get that chance to liven up the 2. I think if in this case, because if I'm like just against the 2, everybody else is all the other horses are pretty big numbers. So maybe just play the win bet and then don't have to even worry about the next race. Be right one time instead of twice.
Sure.
So we'll see. Makes sense. Yeah. So we have 2 more races. I think 2 hours is plenty, and I think we're even going to go a little bit more than that at this point because we have 2 races to go. But you get, like Josh said, run a little bit out of steam towards the end, so it's fun to have.
It's tough, man. So, it's tough to have all this energy, and you got Dr. Tang clocking some pajama hours over there too. So I don't know if he's doing his documentation or what's going on.
I am actually.
Yeah. See. Yeah.
He's also on the West Coast. It's 3:30. He's fine. He's supposed to.
Yeah, exactly.
Dude, I work in healthcare IT, so I know the look. I know the look.
Yes, you're just like click the.
He's like he wishes he could pull out the Dragon mic right now, but
Yeah,
he's just gonna he's just gonna go manual. Oh man, it's
Nothing better than having no idea what's happening and laughing because it's clearly a funny joke that people get that are in the same.
dude.
Like,
Healthcare
I
is just healthcare is just a wild place, man.
Oh yeah.
It's a wild place. But yeah, I'm looking at chat a little bit here, Nick, trying to turn around. So it looks like we do got a couple people who are playing doubles. Ron likes doubles. Looks like he's ending one here with the 2 and the 6. Ron, he's talking about the doubles. You have a good idea what your price is going to be.
Yeah.
I think that's why double is exact as those are good bets. If you're just kind of starting out, I mean, not that they're bad bets if like you've been playing forever, but like if you're going to kind of dip your toe into something other than the win pool, which I do not suggest anyone dips their toe into anything but the win pool to start. Doubles and exactas, at least you kind of get an idea. And especially if like you're playing live money contests and other stuff, like you got to know how to play those bets. You have to know how to read the probables too, especially they help out a ton when probables and will pays when looking at maiden races and other stuff. So,
Well, and
go ahead.
Sorry, I was gonna say on this win pool on the double here, the 2 is half of the price of what the 10's going off at, so it's going to be way the favorite. Like sometimes it takes money early because somebody put $300 in the pool early on, and then it kind of catches up to it. Low sal, anyways, you put $300 and you get 1 to 9, but it does look like it's going to stay pretty heavy favorite. So that is one of the things I do love about the will pays is knowing not exactly, but close enough to what you're going to get. So looking at the probables now, it's not going to be exact because you got enough time, but you do have a pretty good idea of who the favorite's going to be in the next one too, which is always a helpful thing of knowing when you're going into those type of races. So like you were saying, it's exactas and doubles are helpful for those sorts of ideas, which I really like, and I really try to focus in on when I'm making win bets, because if I'm going to pick losers, at least I pick losers that are a good price and say, look, at least I got my value I wanted, even if I still get $0 back. So I do that too frequently, as it turns out.
You can't eat value though. Right,
this is true.
My one of my friends, Tommy Massis, he always likes to say the best way to kind of measure up a handicapper is a refrigerator test. You open up their fridge. Is there food in there? Yes. All right, we're good to go. So
it's actually probably a good idea. And if I can just pick 1 or 2 winners, I got 2 today, 2 out of 3. I can't really complain. But as we've said, I don't know, a million times now, is that if you're playing that last race and you're playing the 7 to 5 shot that runs 8th or whatever it ended up at, that there's no reason to be playing a horse like that when you can, in a race like this, for example, Santos to Wilson at 7 to 5, you can take that all day long. Like, I'm good not having that horse, and if it wins, so be it. But I'm going to take a shot with at least something that has at least a decent number to it. What, Dr. Tang, did you look at Careless Kitten? I don't understand why that one's taking so much money. Am I missing something there?
Careless Kitten, sorry, I was off.
The 7. I think we talked about this one, Josh, didn't we?
Yeah, I mean, it's coming off a win. It's coming off a win. It's cutting back. I mean, I can see why people would play it. That's kind of all I see. It wouldn't be. I mean, I wouldn't take it at 5 to 2 though. However,
right.
I don't know. I'm kind of liking this 5. Looks like he's taking some money off the line. He's 8 to 1 now. He was 20 to 1 on the line.
Yeah.
I think that if anyone's going to kind of get first run on this 2, it's going to be the 5. So I thought that was kind of interesting play here. I'll keep an eye on the odds board, but I thought that one was pretty interesting.
I mean, you take that much money out of like a pool like this that I don't think it's huge at the moment, but let's see. Yeah, $87,000. So enough money in there that at least that it's taking some real money. That is a big drop from a 20 to 1. With the will pays, it's looking you're going to get almost all your price. It's the second longest shot in the will pays. So unless somebody just came in on the win end of it, Josh. I think you're going to get closer to your 20 than you are to your 7. So
Yeah, I think one thing I might do is I might, and we'll see what the probables look like here. Let me take a look. But maybe an exacta here with what just fell? The 2 with the 5. Looks like it's paying 67 for 2. So that might be a way, you know, to get a little
Absolutely.
value out of this the 6 to 5 horse. Now it's probably gonna be even shorter than that, but
yeah, looking at that, because I was on the 2 as well, thinking I was going to get not necessarily 7 to 2, but at least get something closer to 7 to 2. But I had the 6, 9, and 10 also, which outside of the 7, all your exactors are paying pretty well. So if you like the 2, just play the 2 over not the 7, you kind of get paid pretty well too. Oh, I guess it's 6 to 1, so even that's not paying that badly. I always forget that when I go to TVG, it's $1, and when I go to ExpressBet, it's 2. So trying to do the math in my head always takes a second to remember what's going on. Then they go sideways, so one's going left to down, and the other one's going down to left, and it doesn't take much to confuse me. But switching back and forth between those two gets me almost every time. Dr. Tang, you look at Equine Edge, right? Isn't that your PPs that you use, or do you use something else?
No, I don't use them all the time. No.
Okay.
I mean, I use them sometimes for NHC. I don't use them on a super regular basis. I mean,
Okay.
I sometimes take a look at them and gander, but I don't have I usually just use DRF formulating things from that standpoint.
Gotcha.
And then
the one time I met you in person, you were using it, so I just assumed
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah, as an AHC, I mean, I use that when you have to go through like 40 races. And
you ever use the computer HTR?
No, I have not.
No. That's one. It was funny. So, do you remember? Well, of course, I'm sure you do. A couple weeks ago, right? The cheating thing came out.
Yes.
And then someone did like an analysis, right, of all the people with common picks.
Yes.
And there was like near the bottom of the list, right, where they were like at the lower percentages, like 15, 20%. Every single one of those people was using the same piece of software.
Oh, I see.
So that's why they were all there. They weren't like at the same table. It just happened that they all
Right.
used the same software, HDR.
I see.
Interesting.
A couple buddies of mine turned me on to it. I used it for a bit, but I've kind of just gone back to my normal Brisnet and optics basically.
Got it.
So
Yeah.
Is it like an algorithm based thing and Hop give you like choices of horses, or how does it?
Yeah, there's algorithms. There's also like angles and stuff like that. It's
see.
pretty interesting. It's old school. I don't know the last time they updated it, but it's actually fairly affordable as far as like software is concerned. I want to say it's like $120 a month. And it's basically the software is free. You just pay for the data. So it's not awful, right? I mean, like if you look at like all your PP subscriptions and stuff, I mean, it's pretty in line with that stuff.
Yeah.
It's not like, some of the other black box products that are like, thousands of dollars.
Outrageous.
So.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to bring Shadi on. She was here, and then she's gone, and she's back again. Now I'm going to warn her that she's coming on because I think I shocked her last time. So Shadi, you're coming on. I don't have Shadi music though. Maybe we do somewhere over here. They probably have it somewhere.
Oh, there's no music.
There you go.
Is it this one?
No
Can
music?
you hear me first of all?
Yeah. You're shoddy.
Okay. So,
Ooh, that was.
oh.
It's not that one? Okay.
So I joined and I was like, oh no, hold on, I'm magicking right now. I'm muted. Oh no.
Well, I thought that I was going to be quick with it, and then I was like, oh no, I bit the wrong time. Like I brought you in at the exact wrong time of bringing someone in, that someone's like in the middle of talking about something that's going to take more than 30 seconds. So it's like, all right, that's perfect. So Davey's coming as well. So we're going to have a full house here in a little bit. So
Yeah, I probably have to get off soon so you can make
fair
room
enough.
for the. Yeah. So.
We'll say it's to make room. It's definitely not because you have to go back to work or anything.
Yeah.
So Shadi, you don't play Del Mar much, right? You're a Oaklawn player. Or where do you play nowadays?
Oh, are you talking to me? Sorry.
Yeah, where do you normally play?
Well, my home
nowadays?
track is Oaklawn,
Yeah.
so I play it when it's around, of course. I actually really like playing. I'm starting to get into like the smaller tracks, like Delta Downs, and I kind of follow jockeys, so like when a jockey moves to a different colony, I kind of follow them around as well.
Fair enough. Nice. I that's the one thing I don't look at like at all. And I know people are off of Rosario now, or they IRADs. The only thing I do is don't bet IRAD horse, even if it's 6-1 on the line, because it's going to be 4-1. Though it seems like David Aragon is kind of fixing like, all right, you guys are going to bet him? Fine, we're 3-1. Never getting higher than 3-1 on an IRAD horse. So the one thing I don't play is jockeys, and that's again probably to my detriment. But you know, I guess everybody has their choice of what they want to do. So we didn't talk. I guess we talked enough about that race, right? And how much do we want to talk about a 7-5 shot? Right, not much to do there. So, what else do you play, Shai? Do you play a bunch of? What is your style? How about that?
Well, I'm still kind of getting more into the gambling. I had originally started watching Racing Dudes because I was just trying to follow the sport again after not playing it for a while. So that's kind of why I'm kind of sticking with certain horses, certain trainers, certain jockeys, and just following them around and seeing how they're doing. I've really started getting into exactas. I'm still really scared of multi-race sequences, so doubles are probably like the next real step for me to get better at. I've only ever hit one pick 4, and I've never hit a pick 5, so one day.
I feel you.
I was trying today to do a pick 5 here at Del Mar and a pick 6 at Del Mar, which the first race for pick 6 is coming up here soon.
Please don't play that. Please.
That's more of a jackpot play, the pick 6.
Yeah. And especially this time because they're offering $1 million bonus to it. It's like, all right. So you have how many people on track playing it? So your double is looking halfway decent, Josh. Your 2-2 double is $24. So I don't know if 25 to 1's enough for you. Where's your line on something like that when you look at a double? I know.
I mean, it's all you know, it's all feel. It's all trying to figure out like what I actually think the odds of it happening. Honestly, I don't necessarily love the 2 that much in that second race.
Yeah.
Enough to kind of just like be super skinny. So I mean, that's more the reason why I won't play it. Like I said, right here, I'm gonna try something here with this 5, and then a 2-5 exacta as kind of a backup, but. Yeah, we'll kind of see what happens there.
Yeah, and I think that is definitely the way to play a race like this, especially when you have that heavy of a favorite. If you want to try and beat that 2, probably just do it on the win end. But if you think that 2 is pretty tough to beat, then you try to fill in the exactas underneath it. And I think that's what I'm doing my best of trying to do nowadays. Is like I think the 2 is good. I don't think it's that good, so I'm going to play the 2 underneath in an exacta. Because I think it's going to be good enough to run second or third, but I don't think it's has to win. So I'll probably play a win bet of some sort here and avoid doing anything with the 2 at all. Contrary to what I literally just said seconds before that when I said I'd play the 2 underneath. I'm actually going to just do a win bet on the 9 at 16 to 1 is kind of where I think I'm going to land as we get minutes to post here, post time ish. Yeah. All right. Well. That's good. So I've moved to using the Wi-Fi off of my phone, and so it depending on the second, it's working or not. So it's going well for me over here.
So are you doing a double into this 2, or this 2 into the double into the race 5?
I'm just gonna play the 9 to win. I'm not gonna play a double. I was looking at the double with a 2 in the next race, and I think Josh was doing the same thing, but I think we both kind of have decided we don't like the 2 that much, and that next race is you can go 4 or 5 deep with a 2-year-old Calbred. Like,
I was afraid
no reason to.
Because I was like, man, I didn't have the 2 in any of my sequences. Oh no.
Not a horrible idea not to play a double into this. I know people love 2-year-old racing. I understand, but I like my dirt races with my $20,000 claimers where it's like, hey, I know what you're gonna do most of the time. Do the thing, and then it just does the thing. And when you get chaos, it always hurts my head just enough to make it not so much fun. So I have to move my phone towards the window, but my phone has this stream. It's really quite the setup I got going here as they break out, and the 2 goes last and then rushes up and Gonna get squeezed.
That's always a winning move. That always works.
Always.
Yeah.
It's a 6 out in front. Your 5 is running well there, Josh.
Oh boy.
The 6 is. The 6 ever had the lead? Did I miss this? Oh yeah, the 6 does. It's my Los Al horse.
Yeah, I was gonna say like
22 and 42.
all right, the 2's backing up the truck, so is the
My
5.
Los Al angle hits. I swear we're gonna do this show every single day, and we're just gonna look for the Los Al
Here
horses.
comes air.
Nope, but he can only run 4.5 furlongs is the problem. Yeah, he's done. Oh,
you sure about
Here
that?
comes air.
I'm
Mongolian
not sure about
legend.
that.
Oh man, he's
gone.
Mongolian legend.
Yep.
Is getting there. There he goes.
Oh, did you like that, or did Dr. Tang like that
Dr.
horse?
Tang liked him.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Your 6 stayed up for third though.
He did actually stay up pretty well. Wow. So Mongolian legend, a 7-year-old gelding. Wow. I'm not just looking at equibases and reading things out loud. So that's how my day has gone. That I didn't have the 10 very much, but at all, I should say. Did I? Oh no, I did. I talked about and said I like the 9 instead, and I didn't. Yeah. So I had the 2, 6, 9, and 10 in the pick 5 that is dead.
Oh, I was gonna ask you what
Hey,
still alive.
you might have a shot at 4 out of 5 here, because we've had a 17-1 and a 25-1. So
that would be interesting. Do they pay a consolation like that?
if no one has 5 out of 5, yeah.
Oh, I think they carry it.
Yeah, they carry it, but you don't carry the whole thing. You carry like 75% of it. So
Gotcha. Huh. Yeah. So my note that I wrote to myself, so I made sure I said it was my second choice per my writing, which I'm not going to say that it was actually my second choice, but I did write 10, 2, 10, 9, 6. So we can pretend that was my second choice. It was stepping up to 20,000. It's second off of a layoff, and that the speed figures fit, which all makes sense. I wish I had picked that one as my win bet instead of the 9, which I think is still running, if I'm not mistaken. Apparently, I should just play dirt sprints. Maybe that will be my new thing. Is I'm just a dirt sprint specialist until next week when I miss every single one of them. So Ron is asking the question that I asked, and I'm going to go that Josh was talking about, and I'm pretty sure it goes to the early pick 5, right? So they have the early, they have the late.
Knowing California, they probably do something stupid and carry it to the late because it's higher takeout. But I'm not entirely sure.
Yeah. Oh, and Kevin being smart and doing what we were talking about, but not actually doing, was the 10 was hammered in the pick 3.
Yeah.
So,
hey, maybe that was Dr. Tang. Maybe he wasn't finishing up his documentation. Maybe he was slamming pick 3s and we just didn't know.
That sounds significantly more likely. So I am going to put my pick 5 back up just so we can have proof that I did do it, because God forbid you go back and watch the beginning of this. But I'm very upset about. Well, I would never had that 8, so it doesn't matter. Like, there's no way I'm getting to the 8 in the last race, so it makes no real difference there. So let me take that off, because now I'm just red boarding, though not really. So one race to go, and what do we have in that last race? Oh, the 2-year-old Calbred maidens, the race everybody loves. That goes always gets all the money. Is there?
Yeah. Yeah, I admittedly only really capped the late pick 5, because I knew I wouldn't be on until later. This is the one race that I was like, oh my God, with the pick 6, starting out with this.
Yeah, this is here. I can add it here, and we can look and pretend like we know what any of this means. Do either of you look at breeding? Is that anything that anybody knows anything about, other than like 6 people who say they know and they don't actually know anything about it?
I mean, if I see a horse that I'm like, oh, hey, I remember that horse, and I'll check out if they have any progeny and that are interesting. And I don't know. Yeah, with some of these, especially since I'm not local to California and I don't really know most of the local horses, it's really hard for me to look at this race.
Yeah. Josh, do you look at breeding at all? Is that something that you factor
A little
in?
bit. I mean, especially when it comes to like wet pedigree. I'll take a look at with first time starters. I'll take a look to see if their dam has produced anything. How many winners has a dam produced? You can also kind of look like Brisnet will have stuff like percentage on turf, percentage first time on turf. You can get a lot of that kind of stuff here, but
Alex is agreeing with you that Brisnet makes it easy with a DPI rating, so maybe I need to look at that. Maybe Timeform has it. They probably all have it. You just have to know where to look for it. I've come to the conclusion that I'm just an old man that refuses to do too much different than what I'm already doing. And so it's like, oh, I don't know how to do turf races. Forget it. I don't want to look at it anymore.
Yep.
And, instead of like, oh, it's actually not that hard. And it just takes a little bit of look. And, oh, yeah, it's just like a dirt race, but you just want to see how the setup goes. Oh, you mean like a dirt race that also does the exact same thing? Oh, maybe I should do that instead. Yeah, I mean, there's no strong opinions in this race, right? Like, it's impossible to be like, oh, I know exactly who's going to win here, right? Like, am I missing?
Yeah,
something?
no, this is a tough race, and I actually got to hop off. But
Okay.
the last, I think I'm gonna have a little win bet on this 4. It wasn't a horse I had previously, but I'm kind of looking at the workouts on this horse. It looks pretty interesting.
Yeah.
The Gary Stute has not had a first time starter win yet, but Tiago Pereira gets aboard here, and like I said, I think he's had a bit of ability to kind of like make his own. He actually gets to pick mounts now. I think at this point with the way his Santa Anita meet had kind of gone. So I thought it's interesting he shows up here. Not necessarily win early pedigree, but I think you're going to get a price. I think you'll get 9 or 10 to 1 here. So
Yep.
I'm gonna have a little bet on this 4 here, and I'll catch you guys later.
Awesome. Thanks, Josh. Everybody go
Nice
watch
meeting
Josh's On the Wrong Lead. They're on YouTube, and they do
Cheers, right?
streams once a week or more, depending on the week. So we'll see if Davey shows up here in the next little bit. I was planning to do the early pick 5, so we'll hang out and talk about this race, which both of us admittedly have kind of no idea what's going on. So maybe we'll just talk about one of the other things.
I don't have a Papa Dude hat. Wait, I do have a hat.
All right. I'll find my 9-year-old. I'll read her off names, and she can tell me which name she likes the best. Maybe that'll be the way that we end the show.
But everyone loves the hat.
Yes, exactly. I have a hat somewhere. Alex, me and Josh were friends in the Discord group that started On the Wrong Lead. I was actually upset that I wasn't involved with their YouTube show, so I just went to Magic, can I have a show, please? But yes, On the Wrong Lead is great. They normally do a pick 5. They go deep into them, and there's 3 of them, so you just don't listen to Mark. I told Josh that we'd make fun of Mark, and then we never made fun of Mark, so sorry about that. Michael says he has a strong opinion in this race, so Michael, we got to hear the strong opinion, because 2-year-old Calbreds, there's
Help us.
Yeah, I mean, that's it's a tough place to end a pick 5 and start a pick 6, and I find it fun to watch and kind of see what happens, but unless they've raced before, there's really not much you.
Mike, are you talking about the 6? Because I really like that was the one that I was liking.
Yep. So that's the 8 and the 6 are both Mathis horses.
Well, yeah, I guess Don't Worry Boss is kind of the. At least I have that one on my pick 6 and my. Yeah, so let's go with the 8. Let's go.
Yeah, I can see the 8. I mean, I had a note about the 8 basically because it ran originally at Golden Gate Field in its first race back in June. Then they trained it over at Pleasanton on dirt, and then they, instead of running at Pleasanton, they came here. So it makes you think that they think they have something. So I think that makes sense, and I think I know Michael is at the track, so I'm sure he's hearing the talk. The 6 was. Smile Baby Smile. Ran at Pleasanton at 5-2, and ran 4th. So can't win there. I think the bettors are saying unlikely to win here, but I like having a race under their belt at 2-year-old. I think it gives them enough to make them move up enough. So 6, Michael is on the 6 and or 8, so I'm with him there. I actually like the 2.
We don't know which.
Yeah. I like the 2. Legacy Ranch was pointing to this spot. It is the owner and the breeder. They'd been working this horse out since April, and it's been working consistently. And instead of running at Santa Anita, they kind of waited to run here. So I think they think they have something. And it 10-1 on the morning line and down to 8-1. I kind of like the way that this one has a chance as a first timer. And then the other one that I had in my now dead pick 5 was Annie Fox, which I wrote down that it took money in its last race. It was 5-1, and there were it hit the gate on when it came out of the gate in its first race, and then just kind of had no shot from there. So taking a little bit of money, having a bad trip, you kind of think like, well, maybe it can with that with those working for it, maybe you get a bit of a price. And I don't know, it is 12-1 at the moment. So 2 and 3 were 2, 3, and 8, I believe, were my pick 5 tickets. So
I
there you
have
go.
8 and 10 on my pick 6. I went very skinny. I'm not spending more than $10 on this pick 6. I don't know. I mean, the last race it got bumped at the start, and I mean, this was just one that I was like, oh, maybe it improves. I mean, it's only on its second start. It ran at Santa Anita first out, so.
Yep. Like I say, this is I don't like. Michael has a strong opinion because he's spreading later, so it's not like he's like, oh yeah, these are must wins, but they do. Gary's saying that they do well. That Mathis does well at Del Mar, so this is a tough one. So I'm going to take this out, and I was going to talk to you about this real quick, Alex.
Also,
when people say a tactical speed, what does that mean? The way that I've taken it to mean is that they sit kind of behind the leaders. So if you have horses that are running fast and doing the dirty work up front, so they're going fast, kind of sits behind, it doesn't have to go as fast, so it can close closer into the pace. So it's going to sit second or third and try to get that first run once they hit the top of the stretch. So that's what I've taken it to mean. If people think I'm wrong, wouldn't it be the first
I also
time?
feel like it can be the horse can use its gate speed to get into position and then start coasting, and then when it's time to go, it can still use its reserves to get going.
Yeah, absolutely. So Davey is here, so we're going to bring him in.
Yay, Davey!
Hello, what's up?
How's it going?
What's up, teammate?
It's going good. Doing good. I'm excited to be here. Sorry, I was running a little bit late from work today, but I'm glad
It's
we
like
got
you have to work or something.
I know, jobs these days.
Yep.
Pesky.
I'm sitting here in the live chat like, oh, you're mispronouncing Wooster. Like, why are you in this video?
So, David, did you look at the 5th race? Maybe you have a strong opinion. Maybe we can prove this all wrong and have something strong.
Yeah, so I looked at this race, and I think Armando Aguilar is going to have a pretty decent day today. He already won one earlier. He's getting that extra weight off, and so 115. He's 6-1 right now on Peppertini. I think he looks like a decent little horse. His odds have dropped a little bit already.
Yeah.
I made a pick 6. I decided not to play it. I'm going to save for the pick 5. I had gone 3, 4, 5 in this leg.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, as we've said, it's one of those. I like watching 2-year-old races. I don't like betting on 2-year-old races because like it feels much like a turf race to me, where it's like, yep, that makes sense, right? Like in that third leg in race 3 here, we had 27-1 or something that came in, and obviously somebody got there because it wasn't Infinity to 1, but it certainly is like how do you get to a horse like that? And I just I can't. So with these races, because you get so little out of I know people look at workouts, and I think that's important. I know people look at breeding, which I find less important, but I understand it. But man, you get to the summer like this. I at least appreciate the fact that they put it in the race 5 and not race 7 or something with, in the middle of your late pick 5.
Yeah, where
So,
you just get killed right.
yeah.
Yeah. So
They do seem to
Peppertini
do
is
that on
out
the-
of Stay Thirsty. I
Yeah.
was a big Cold Front fan. I thought he was a phenomenal sprinting horse. He never got the grade 1, but he was constantly going really good. Anywhere from 6 furlongs up to about a mile and a 16th, I think. This horse's workouts have been nice. I know, like you said, workouts, everyone can work out nicely. He just looks like he's taking the right steps. He's gotten 5 furlongs, now back to 4. I think they're kind of prepping him. And I think if you look later on in the card, some of these higher up trainers are using this jockey for that weight balance to go down and kind of get that score. And I think this is going to be a live horse here. Now, I could be wrong, but I really like Peppertini on top, I think.
Right. So those are the type of things that you can look at and get to. And if you dig deep enough, you can find things like that. So workouts matter, and especially if you know what you're looking at to watch them. I always find, especially when you get to the older horses, like, oh, it ran 5 furlongs in a minute 1, like, oh, it has no chance. But they weren't running it to go fast, they were running it so they can run. And so trying to figure out what that what the intent of everything is, right? So when you bring in a 2-year-old to a maiden special over a maiden claiming, like, there feels like a huge intent there. A race like this is the first day at Del Mar, first 2-year-old race at Del Mar. Well, we're pointing to that spot because we want to win at the first day of Del Mar, right? Like, they can run it on Sunday, but they choose here because, I don't know if the condition book has it, but you know what I mean? Like, there's intent here. And so I look at that a lot more recently. Again, right or wrong, it's an angle that you can use. And that's the beauty of this game, is that you get to have your angles. And if you're right, you have food in the refrigerator, as Josh said earlier. So I like the idea anyways of how to go there. So the other thing I always like to look at before I move on and change the subject entirely was how many of them have the same sire, because in California there's like 5 of them, but a lot of these are Cal bred and not Cal sired, which is one of those conditions they do later on. Cal bred or Cal sired maidens. At some point it's just Cal sired maidens, and then you get a bunch of Stay Thirsties or Stanfords or that type, as opposed to this where it's like, no, these are big time sires, smallish type dams. And so I think that also has a little bit to do with it. So we got that. So you watch Del Mar a lot, Davey. Shadi, you said that you're the Del Mar expert of her world.
Like me.
Past few years, I really enjoyed watching Del Mar. I've had some pretty decent success. Hit a few pick 4s, I think a couple of pick 5s, nothing too crazy on them. But I really enjoy the trainers. I love California in general, and Del Mar just has the fields too. Santa Anita sometimes 4 or 5 horses, but Del Mar always seems to have fields, and it always seems to bring prices, I think.
Yep. And I think today's showing that very much in the, I don't think we've had a favorite even hit the board yet. That's probably wrong, but, race 4, we had a $37 winner. Race 3, we had a $58 winner. Race 2, we had a $10 winner. And race 1, we had a $16 winner. So that leads to prices. Yeah.
Going into this, I had the mindset of, I'm going to have to play against favorites, I think, almost like all across. I ended up in the late pick 5. I picked one horse, Clooney. We can get to that later, or I can talk about it whenever. But he's the same thing. He's getting that weight drop kind of, and that's why I kind of went with him, and that was where I found my single at.
Yep.
But almost everywhere else, I was like, even though I love this jockey and this trainer and this combo.
Yep.
I'm like, I got to play against it. These fields are big. Everyone's on their A game for opening day. And you just have to go in thinking, I want the bombs.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's really the way you should approach this when you have things like this, right? Where when you're at Santa Anita, you get a lot of those 4-horse fields where you get a Baffert at 1 to 9, and it's like, okay, well, no chance. Whereas now it's like, well, everybody's coming in good. So you do have a late pick 5. We're going to watch this last race and then we're going to get out of here, but we can talk about the late pick 5 because I looked at it enough to say, oh, the early pick 5 was hard. The late pick 5 said, hold my beer. So what did you like here in this in race 6, leg 1 of this late pick 5? It's a it's a lot of words that I can't read because it's too far away. So what'd you like in race 6?
So me personally, I went 5, 6, 10, and I was putting the 10 on top. King Apollo.
Mhm.
He's coming out of the another allowance race where he's gone back to back times getting second. And I'm not going to say that he's had an excuse every time, because if he was, a good enough horse, he should be able to get it done. But bumped at the start. He was in tight early on one, bumped at the start, pulled up. And he always seems to still be able to finish strong and still like hit the board. And so this time he's getting to the outside. Kent DeJormo, he's got the ride. He's had a pretty decent day already. I think he's going to be able to steer this guy a little bit to the outside, maybe 3 wide, tuck in right behind the leaders if he doesn't go for the lead, and then make that clean move. So I'm putting King Apollo on top, and then I'm going to the 6 Ambivalent, Doug O'Neill. At Del Mar, he's live. He's got Mario Gutierrez aboard.
Yep.
This horse, I think this is just the right position for him.
Yeah.
He's not trying anything crazy. He's cutting back in the distance, and I think he's got that speed. And then my long shot, Abel Cedillo gets a board for Saul's Call. This horse, 6 wins out of 15 starts. They came a little earlier in his career. Is floated between Santa Anita, looks like Golden Gate once or twice.
Yep.
And he just hasn't quite been on the past 2 or 3, and or I guess the last one he won his last one, and I think this next one is going to be something similar. He's got a good field that I think is actually doable, and I think 12-1 is a great price for him.
Yeah. Absolutely. I was on the 1. I didn't build a pick 5 ticket because I didn't look that closely at it. I just kind of ran through it. But I was on the 1 going first time on the turf. It always is interesting to me when they move a horse that's raced enough times that say, oh, you know what we're going to do now? Switch the surface. See what happens. Mm-hmm. So either they think it has no chance, or they think, oh, it's something. So it ran, a year? It's a year layoff. Used to be trained by Asmussen, and then brought back here. One of those they're pointing for something, and maybe they're pointing for it because they think they got something, and maybe they bought it, and now they're like, oh God, what do we do with it? Let's run it on the turf at Del Mar and pray. But sort of fit to me in some way. So I was on the 1 Hot Rod Rumble, not a very strong pick because it's a turf race. 5 furlongs on the turf. No thank you for me. So we'll move to race 7 real quick, as we got 5 or 6 minutes. So before we get to that race 5, so a mile on the dirt with a starter allowance. Do you have a strong opinion here?
I do. This is where I singled at. I went to the number 8 Clooney. Mm-hmm. And some people might call me crazy. He actually ran 3rd behind the 11 Deservedly last time out, who put up solid fractions. It was a great race. That horse came in 2nd. Clooney came in 3rd. And again, this angle, Armando, they're getting that weight relief. And he was only 2 lengths off of Deservedly. And on that specific start last time out, he really started off slow. The start before that, he was closer to the pack. He was able to pounce, find that hole up the rail, and win his race. This last time, he was just a little bit too far back. I think this weight relief is going to relieve some of that pressure for him, and he's going to have a little bit more of that kick. And I thought there just looked like there was a little bit of speed in this race that he could run into and kind of being to the outside. I think he's going to have a clean path. And this is John Sadler. Mm-hmm. I think he's a pretty solid trainer.
Yeah.
I think he wouldn't go for this if he didn't think the horse could do it. And I think this jockey was ridden by Juan Hernandez before. And so this weight relief, I feel like they're really looking for that win right here.
Yeah.
I just realized how big that weight drop was. Wow.
Yeah. And that's one of those things that I don't look at all that much unless you start going a mile and you start going from, a 6 furlong to a mile race. Then all of a sudden 7 pounds starts making a huge difference. So Shadi, I completely missed you on the last one. So I'm going to remember that
Davey and I have been talking these all day. And at this point, both of our views are about the same.
Fair enough.
So anything he said so far is I pretty much,
The one horse I liked in this race, and again, I didn't build a ticket, so I'm just like, I picked this one in my tournament. I believe this is the one I picked in mine. Yeah, so I'm on the 5.
Yep.
Golden Eye.
It
Right?
makes a lot of sense.
Makes a lot of sense. It kind of fits in that way. So I don't know that I'm going to get 5-1. The only thing that's going to keep that 5-1 price, I think, is that Clooney takes a bunch of money. I just don't know that Clooney's going to take that much coming into a race like this. Like every race at Del Mar this week is that's a full field. Another full
Deservedly
field.
might also take some money as well.
Yeah.
The 11.
Yep. And so there's just so much
why
money.
I really ended up on Clooney as well. Deservedly beat him last time out. I think a lot of people are going to see that and be like,
Absolutely.
Oh, he's better odds, but he beat him last time out. I'm going to go with him.
Yep. I mean, that's a lot of people play that way, especially on opening day when it's like, they have a huge on-track handle that it kind of pushes that up some. So we'll move to race 8, which I believe is the Oceanside. So it's for 3-year-olds. 3-year-old males going a mile on the turf
This race.
that haven't won a sweepstakes, which I believe is a graded stakes, right? Or a sweepstakes of $50,000 at 1 mile or over in 2023. So they haven't won $50,000 in a stakes race. So kind of everybody fits unless you won, a big race at Derby Day. So only 13 in here, easy pick. Where did you guys land on here?
This is where I spread. I thought anything could happen in this race, and I don't even know on top.
From the clouds.
You could go in so many different places. Like in my pick 5, I went 1, 3, 6 through 10. I spread like wildfire here. I was wanting these prices. Escape Artist, he looks good. If he's really that much of a horse, maybe he'll get it done, but I'm going to have to let him beat me. Or not.
Yeah.
Sorry, I was thinking of Panic Alarm, and he actually scratched. I do have Escape Artist, but he's to the outside, but there's all these other horses like Mr. Fisk, Agency, Kid Azteca, who are great odds. And for what reason? They've got the talent. Bob Baffert, Joe Bravo's getting his mounts right now.
Yep.
And man, this is a tough field. If you have a strong opinion in this field and you're correct, then credit to you. Crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I almost had to throw in a meme pick in here, geez, because if geez wins, that's what I'll be saying. I didn't have him.
O'Neill, man, he's a Del Mar guy.
Yep.
Yeah, it's like you could. I mean, I could not afford to hit all here, but like,
Well, and I mean, Audgies to me, I mean, it's not one that I picked, and I ended up on Mr. Fisk, the 6 horse, but O'Neill shipped this one to the UAE to run there, and then went to Churchill, and it's like, okay, well, we didn't win there, so we're gonna come back to to Del Mar. Like Southern California, West Coast turf horses aren't as good as most of the East Coast ones, so the distance may be the problem for Audgies, but had been running okay. Won an allowance race at Del Mar last year, going 5 furlongs. So why wouldn't it win, right? Like, given the way the day has gone, it certainly fits as much as anybody else. I like Mr. Fisk because it's Baffert going to the turf, and normally when Baffert ships one or sends one to the turf, it's because it needs to be running on the turf, and the owners still just want to keep running with Baffert. So it's like, yeah, it's fine. I don't care. Just run it on the turf. So I think I'm not going to get anywhere near 8-1 on it, though, because everybody else at Del Mar is going to think exactly like I do, is like, it's Bob Baffert. Bob Baffert wins. So the interesting one that's not nearly as interesting as I thought it was Conclude. Going down the turf, downhill turf course at Santa Anita is hard because they're running downhill, and it's basically like running a mile. And so I always like to look for those ones that are going about the 6.5 distance and then stretching out to a mile next time out. So that would be one that I'd definitely be using if I'm playing a pick 5, which I'm not, but by the time I get off here, I'm probably going to be throwing a pick 3 together to end this thing. So more than likely that's what I'll be doing.
There's a lot of speed in here as well.
Yeah.
Who would be the horse that would be best to pick up the pieces if this falls apart, you think?
Davey, what do you think?
That's a tough one. I would say maybe Kid Azteca has come from off the pace. I think there's quite a bit in front of him to run at, and he could just kind of pick up those pieces, not too far back, have first run at him, and just clean it up. 12-1. Ramon Vasquez, he's my boy right now. I mean, he was on Practical Move, who helped us out a lot in the fantasy league. So
there might be some recency bias here.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
I mean, he was a Remington from Okie, so I loved watching him when he was here. He ran a lot for Asmussen.
Remington's starting soon.
It is August 18th. That will be their opening day.
Nice.
Hey.
The 14 is the one I use. Me and Josh were talking about this earlier. Optics EQ has they do squares and circles, and the 14 is a big fat square, so that means it likes to close. And the 10 likes to close, which is Escape Artist. So those would be the two that I would kind of lean towards in picking up the pieces. The 13 Game Time, they also like
Magic's
to close,
into that one.
That one, first one off my ticket. I know I picked like a billion horses in this one. John Savage,
they are loading into the
Mile, Turf, Armando. It looks great. Just all the way to the outside. I thought there was a lot of talent in this race to the inside of him. I think he's really gonna have to have a heck of a ride to be able to figure his way through there.
Yeah,
I think there's going to be horses backing up, and he's going to be someone's going to have to weave through, and someone's going to have some bad luck.
Yeah, but like we said, like if whoever wins this race, you're like, yep, could have got there, right? There's none here that you're like, they have no shot of winning. So it is definitely one of these races that it's on the turf, and because you got so many that qualify for it in weird ways, it's like, yeah, they've been running on the dirt, so now they're going to run it on the turf because why not?
They're off.
So as they break in this race 5, the one broke poorly, and the
Talent for Gold is gunning for the front there.
And Michael's 8 is going.
Oh God, I can't see the other one. Too far away from the screen. Enhance. Let's see. Oh, it was the 8 that went up. Okay.
So now the 7's making a move, or at least that's what the chicklets are telling me.
I have an exacta box in this race, so let's see.
Okay.
What happens there.
Who
key box.
are you on?
8 with 2, 5, 10.
Okay.
Key box on the 8. Which
Who
so
seems
far,
to be, yep.
looking
Looks like Michael
okay.
knows
Just
what
need
he's
the
doing.
2, 5, or 10 should get up for me, but I don't think so.
Yep.
Nope.
And it looks like Michael's
Yep.
going to get us the exacta box for the 8-6 with the Mathis horses.
Hey.
Nicely done. So 8-5
Right.
over 6-1. Oh, Smile Baby Smile drifted up there, so that's a nice exacta.
Nice. Hey, there's our boy Ramon.
Hey. Great ride.
Oh, and the
Right.
4 in Safa, Josh's horse picks up 3rd. So we gave out the
Oh my
trifecta.
God, I'm alive in the pick 6. No.
All right.
First leg, baby.
That's always a relief. Not getting
Yes.
through that first leg at least.
Of 2-year-olds.
A 2-year-old Calabrets on top of it. So we'll finish up here with our late pick 5 since we've already almost got there. So the 9th race is an allowance optional for 3 and older, going 6.5 on the dirt. Shockingly, only 11 horses. Nope, 12 horses. I'm good at counting. I can't even count that far. Anything here that you're really excited about?
Shawty, you want to go first?
Yeah, I've been kind of going in between Tahoe Sunrise and is it Request?
Request,
I
yeah.
don't know.
It's like Request, but not.
Yeah.
Oh, and Ramon is on. See, hey, I was just saying it was recency bias, but I think the last out race kind of showed. So his first race was it? Yeah. Yeah. Kind of wow. Starting out in 120K, finished 8th. But then the next race out, kind of figured it out, and I don't know. I've been. Hold on. Let me God, I can't find my notes.
I'll
Don't
hop
look
in
at
and
me.
say that I was on the 5 Sir Atticus, not because of anything really all that strong. Again, this is just a
Mike
tough,
Smith with Sheriff.
yeah, and it's was gonna basically. I'm hoping for a price. It's 5-1 on the line. I think we'll get a little bit better than that. At least that's what I'm hoping for. And then it's been moving up its speed figures the last couple of races, so I'm kind of hoping that it continues that move and gives me some sort of price to make it a playable thing there. So I'll throw it back to you if you got your notes ready. Or I can stammer along a little bit longer, pretend like I have a real strong opinion in this one.
Well, so, and then this is if you notice, the one last out with Lasix for the first time is still has Lasix this time around, so might still be on its way up, like with form, I'm thinking. And then, again, I said I was kind of torn between 7 and 12. 12 being Tahoe Sunrise, who is a Baffert, with Victor Espinoza, American Pharaoh Colt. I don't think has finished out of the money. Nope. One first out in Santa Anita, has been running in Santa Anita. I just think those two, in my opinion, are like the top two of this group running here. Hard to figure. I did not want any part of. I know there were some people who were talking about that horse before. I've seen like posting their picks, and I'm like, what? Why? But am I saying something that you're disagreeing with at all?
Not disagreeing with at all. I just decided I would go Baffert, and then I took a wild plunge as well. Hey, look at Mike Somich out there.
Yeah,
doing
I
stuff.
saw that. I get the
Whoa!
notifications, Mike. So Mike hit the early pick 4. So apparently, if you're listening to our show, we would have got the pick 5 together. But that's okay, Mike. I won't blame you for it. So
Right?
So I took a
So,
long shot in
nice for
race
him.
9 as well, and I threw Dive Master
Yep.
on there.
Okay.
Kyle Fraser Board, Vladimir, 1 start, got a win. Churchill Downs, maiden special weight. Kind of had to go wide and rallied. Really big stride. Ended up getting the job done. At 20-1, I'm willing to take this shot, and it looks like first time
Absolutely.
Lasix, has blinkers on, so hopefully getting a little involved there, and has 2 pounds on some of the competition. That's not
Yep.
crazy, but at 20-1, I was like, I think I can take a shot with this guy.
Absolutely.
That's
And it has
great
my
odds
favorite angle,
there.
which is ship to win. So every time I say ship to win, we're taking a drink. So thank you, everybody.
I don't have a
It's going to
drink,
get really
sorry.
old really quickly as I say it every week talking about this. So we will move on to race 10, which, just another 12 horse
We'll have us
field
drunk by
going
the
a
end of this
mile and an
thing.
eighth on the turf,
Oh, yeah.
easy. So,
Oh,
God, I ended up on the one favorite I liked today was Twist, the 1 horse. I think it's going to sit
Yeah.
kind of a perfect trip. It closed into a very slow pace and then ended up losing by a length to Cash Equity. I think second in America, second with Sadler. Barrios, I love with Sadler. I think with Ronus Racing, I always like to look at Ronus Racing because they're very good at who they pick when they bring them over. So a 6-year-old gelding coming over here, they came to win races. So it sort of feels like they're going to run here and then point to a stakes race next. So I'm talking myself into a single here, and maybe even get a late pick 5, and if I get some time to put that ticket in. But worst case scenario, I'll play the pick 3. So what do you think, Dave?
Also had this one as a seagull. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I also went Twist on top. Everything
Okay.
you just said. This horse looks like he's shipping to win. He's got the rail. Shouldn't be that difficult. But because I singled earlier, I went ahead and added one more horse here who I thought has just had steady improvement, and that's the 2 Astronomer. Getting first-time Lasix. Again, Joe Bravo, Callahan, or Simon Callaghan, however you pronounce it.
Yeah.
But Delmar went for it. Didn't do so good. Went for another maiden special weight. Didn't do it. Shipped to Golden Gate. Got the job done. Pulled away. And then came back to Delmar for a stakes race. And even bumped early. Got up for a win. So I think at 12-1 again, I singled earlier. Twist looks like a solid shot. But I thought if there's anyone else who could kind of make a bid for this race, a 12-1 shot, first time Lasix, Astronomer.
Yep.
Yeah, you talked me onto this horse earlier today. At first I was like, no, I'm singling Twist, and wow, man, this 2 horse though.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the one problem I have with Astronomer is that 2-year layoff, so it hasn't raced since November at Del Mar of 2021. So it obviously, I mean, they could have gone in a bunch of places, so it fits these conditions. So it's obviously not going to be in for, well, let me not say obviously. Let me make sure, not in for a tag. So they're maybe this one needs a race, but going a mile on 8th, it always makes me a little bit nervous when it's only ran a mile before. So now stretching out on a 2-year break makes me a little bit less excited on that one, but I'll never talk somebody off of 12-1 that in a pick 5, you're probably getting 80-1, maybe better on that one. The other one, I'm singling Twist in my soon to be made pick 3, but I liked the 9 Flashiest also. Kind of the same reasons I like Twist, but not big enough of a price difference. If I was getting 8-1 or 9-1 on Flashiest, it feels like one that you can really throw in there. But because the it's just not quite enough of a price to make it worth playing when I'm already on the favorite. So I'm gonna kind of quit with that. So
Flashiest was 3rd on my list as well. I loved it. 5-1. I didn't want to choke that down. That's why I ultimately ended up on Astronomer on top or in 2nd.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pulling this up, Astronomer's Dam is a turf kind of horse, it looks like, with great returns, offspring stats, turf, 20 starts, 30% winners with a $9.63 return.
Okay. Wow.
So, Sire's Air Force Blue. I like him. Typically,
very much,
not stretching out this far. But I'm not against it. We're gonna see how it goes. His turf routes percentage is 12.4%. So we'll kind of see. But that's just kind of why I saw Astronomer and I was like, this could be a live long shot. Flashy.
Absolutely.
Everything you said. I love the horse.
Yep.
But just because Twist is in here, I was going to take a bit of a bigger shot.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, that's sort of what it feels like, is like Twist is the winner unless somebody else does it, right? And it's like that's what I hate the most about these turf races is Twist is the one that I'm like, it's a turf race that I have very little really going here. And it's like, but this one fits and it makes a lot of sense. And then, Astronomer comes up and wins and you're like, wait, what? How did you get there? And it's like, oh, that's how. And you can get there. And it's not an impossible one, though. We'll see what happens, we actually end up with the odds. The one angle that I agree with Gary here is Juan Hernandez. Just bet Juan Hernandez. He's like Flavian Pratt, but not quite as cute. But he is an excellent rider. So he's not in this last race. So we have to then, actually handicap a little bit.
You have controls. You know what to do.
I know. I'm clicking things, and look, I'll distract you with putting this up with the early.
Whoa! Oh my God!
90,000. So that's really, really quite something. Oh no, it's on the other side.
Dude, I mean, if you got that, like, come on.
Yeah,
there's so many. Oh.
Yeah. So
you earned it if you got it.
So I will turn that off, and then we will do to end the show in Shoddy's honor. Here you go.
Swing, swing, tentpole.
There he is.
I can play it all the time. It's one of my favorite things. Is like they just have it all here, but I don't know how quite to go back and forth, because if I go I look at one side and it's Magic Mike show, and one side is Racing Dudes, and when I do that, the background changes. So actually, what we'll do is what I was testing with it before, and I didn't know what happened. So when I do this, do I change the background?
Yes.
No.
Oh,
did I?
Oh, there you are.
Did. There you go. So that's a problem. So I have to stop messing with things, otherwise I'm going to get thrown out.
I'm sure
of here, so.
Magic will be proud.
We'll see. He said, play it once, no more. So he said I have a one time a day limit on playing it.
Oh
So
darn.
I waited for you to show up so I can play it for you. So
Yeah, sorry we couldn't be on. Sorry, we're Central Time people.
I know. Dr. Tang's a doctor, and he was here for like 20 minutes. He's like, it's too early. So moving forward, we're going to be doing the early pick 5 at Del Mar, but Fridays are 4 o'clock first post, which is 4 o'clock Pacific for us normal people on good time zones. So we will be doing that.
That was a really great synchronized eye roll.
So we're going to be trying to do the early pick 5 every week here. I will be definitely harassing you two to come back on because I know that Dr. Tang actually has to work, and at some point I'm going to get in trouble for my boss yelling at me for why are you not working at 4 o'clock on a Friday? I'm like, it's 4 o'clock on a Friday. What do I need to do?
And I can actually try to hop on at 4. It's just awkward with my coworkers in the background and all. So.
I don't believe there's anything live tomorrow, Ron. I know that
Really? For the
Magic
Haskell?
is at. I don't think so. I didn't see anything,
Oh.
but I haven't listened to the show yet. I'm on vacation, so I've tried to just focus
fair.
on Del Mar. So we'll see. They do have the Haskell guide that's out now. There's a thing here that I can try and find, but
Betting Bible.
yes, which has all their picks and all their plays for the Haskell tomorrow. Haskell and Monmouth are the big places tomorrow. I will be focusing myself on Del Mar. So with that,
What do you
I'm
like in the
gonna try.
Haskell?
I ended up on Extra Anejo. I kind of feel like Asmussen wouldn't put him there unless he thought he was live, because there was the Curlin today that he had every right to win in. And so putting him in a race that's bigger and better sort of feels like they think they have something. And I've said 100 times, Winchell doesn't need the money. They're doing it because they want the win. So that's the way that I kind of look at it. So who are you on in the Haskell?
I went ahead and went with the Derby winner, Mage. Castellano has just been on fire lately. Mage, in my book, he hasn't done anything wrong. I mean, broke his maiden, ran second to Forte, won the Derby, or maybe he was third in the Fountain of Youth. And then, the Preakness, a little bit too soon versus 2 very prepped horses who were fresh for that race. Now he's coming back fresh, and I think it sets up because Arabian Night, Extra Anejo, they've got a little bit of speed. So I'm going to stick with Mage on this one.
Yeah. I'm not against Mage winning. I'm against Mage at what was always the Derby winner price that comes back on it. And I think that's the only thing that's going to keep Arabian Night over 2-1 is that you're going to get Mage taking a bunch of money. And I think those two take all the money. And so in a situation like that, when I think they're all pretty even, I would go a little price shopping. But when Mage wins, it's not going to be shocking to anybody, right? I mean, I think this race sets up for him pretty well. What do you think? Did you look shoddy at the?
Yeah, I'm eating chalk until he loses, and I'm on Arabian Night.
I
don't
can't
know,
disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, he's either gonna not do so hot, or he's just gonna blow them all away.
Yeah.
So
the other one in that race,
Mage would be my second, definitely.
Yeah, I mean that. Like I said, that makes a lot of sense to me, and the one that I think is going to get a little forgotten is Go Rocket Ride, because he's coming in after not running in the Derby, and it's just like, well, maybe he, Mandela doesn't ship very often, so when he does, you always kind of got to find if he's got a live one. So I'm a little interested in that one too, but I've always been a little against Go Rocket Ride. I'm of the opinion he doesn't want to get the 1 1/8. So
this is his first start outside of Cali, right?
Go Rocket Rides, yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I kind of see him a little bit like Mage. I mean, he was behind Practical Move. I thought, I wanted Practical Move to obviously win the Santa Anita Derby, but I really thought Go Rocket Ride was going to be the big threat. And so here, it was kind of like how Mage was. I thought he was going to be the big threat in the Florida Derby moving forward. Now, how is he going to do shipping? I think he's going to be forgotten, like you said, but he's definitely a live horse.
Yeah, and I just realized I got Go Rocket Ride and Practical Move mixed up in my head. So everything I said about Go Rocket Ride, just take the part about Mandela shipping and pretend like that's all that matters, because I I for some reason was thinking Practical Move, who doesn't want to get the distance. I think Go Rocket Ride is an interesting one. So yeah, good. Well, then I will for sure invite you guys back because this was fun, and I know that Friday afternoon isn't going to work all the time with everybody. So as far as I'm concerned, we'll just try and do a rotating cast of characters through here. So now that was me trying to get to the point where I can find the outro I'm supposed to use. Oh, this is the problem. I don't know if I'm supposed to use this one. Okay, let me go back over here. There's like 8,000 different videos that you choose between, and they told me just don't show anything that has horses in it. So I was like, okay, what does that mean? And it's like,
oh no, all this have to go. Oh no, the over the rails one can't be used now.
Right. So
that's
and it's like intro, outro, new long original. Is that what I'm supposed to use? I don't know.
What?
So
what does that mean?
I don't know. So I will use the intro as the outro and just hope that I don't get in too much trouble. And I've talked about it now live. So if Magic actually watches, he's like, well, at least he tried. He at least thought about it before just pushing.
Listen,
that counts.
He's too busy standing in line at San Diego Comic-Con.
Exactly. All right. I'll see you guys later.
Okay.